Ladies and gentlemen, artists and music producers, and more importantly, DIYers all over the world. Hope all is well in your world. I appreciate you for joining me here for another episode of Music and Life Podcast. And I'm here with the guest that I felt like y'all brought this to fruition. Specifically the homie Avedon. He brought this to fruition. He came in here and said, after I did a video where I'm reacting to this artist known as the Fiverr Rapper, at least that was how CNBC worded it. I did a reaction video because his story was super inspiring. And some of the things we're talking about is his accomplishments in doing this and going this route that is not the traditional route. It was something I think all of us left with a little bit of inspiration. But Avedon said, man, it would be super dope if you can get the opportunity to actually interview this gentleman. Well, ladies and gentlemen, can we please give a chat round of applause for those that are here? And Avedon's the first one to actually be here. For Mike Burton, aka Keybeaux.
Avedon, appreciate it, brother, man.
Come on now.
Up, Curtis King, baby. What's
Come
up?
on, man. What's the deal?
Come on, man. So I'm so hyped to be here. An honored, big fan of your show.
You hyped. I'm hyped for us to be able to talk to a DIYer out here who's doing the amazing things that you're doing. Obviously with Fiverr, but also just maneuvering these streets in an independent sense in 2023. It means a lot. It means something a lot different. And it was interesting as I was listening to you kind of tell your story on that CNBC video. I'm starting to see like a lot of the overlappage in time and the times that you were like early on in the grind and you were doing, I believe, the telemarketing at one point in time. I was in that place, and I remember when independence looked like something that was like almost frowned upon by a lot of people. Like they looked at it as you're just waiting in the queue until it's time to actually get in the big leagues. But I salute you, and I definitely want to tie into this story of how you brought everything together and just go a little bit beyond what the video covered. And obviously shout out to my guy Brandman Sean. I saw you was on there recently. But yeah, man. So first and foremost, you know, I'm sitting up here. I want to give you your roses, but how the hell you know who I am? How you even come across a Curtis King? Because you left a comment on my reaction video, and I'm like, this brother got probably so many orders on Fiverr. I be in a vacuum sometimes. How did you even hear about, you know, the Curtis King TV and all that good stuff?
I would say it was 2016, 2017. I'm watching YouTube. I'm trying to figure out how can I just segue into like some kind of career path with it. At the same time, I'm doing Fiverr. So I'm like, maybe I should start a YouTube. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then I see what you're doing along with some other people, and I'm just obsessed. I'm like, yeah, he talking about making beats. Yeah, he talking about. So I just became a fan because it was kind of like you were talking to me. Like I was the people that needed to hear it. And then when you drop in like the song Steve Jobs, when you put out music, I'm like, because I always commend people that not only do beats, but they also make music. Because I'm a big fan of Prince, Ryan Leslie, like juggling those things and being proficient. I always be just like respect, because that means you really believe in your idea to see it through the production and the vocals, and it just takes so much fortitude like to push through it. Yeah. So I always be excited to hear people make the whole thing. But I've been a fan since you were dropping them gems and jewels on a lot of stuff. So yeah, salute to everybody who's been watching, man. I'm like y'all, man. I'm a big fan, bro.
Man, and that's, I think that's so important to get your info from folks who are practicing it, right? The practitioners, the folks that are actually in real time saying, all right, you know that video I did last week? I feel a little bit different about it now. Well, why is that? Because I actually am putting this stuff into action and doing it. Right. So right now I got this up here across the screen because I want folks to get a little bit of reference, because there's going to be a lot of gems that are going to be shared here today from Keybeaux. And first and foremost, you're an artist and a music producer. Am I missing anything else in that? Engineer? What else? What other hats are you wearing?
Videographer. A hobby of mine I picked up during quarantine was animation.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive, man, because these things are very accessible, and they're not. You remember a time where you had to sign up for like an AI institute, or you had to go pay a whole lot of money just to kind of get access to the information, or what tools are you using, and are these things something that I can get if I don't have a student discount or whatever the case may be?
I remember it well, and it's crazy. It's such a beautiful time to be alive. I'll never complain, 'cause it's like, bro, you can learn anything on YouTube and start practicing it today. So
yeah,
it's beautiful, bro. It's beautiful. I'm very, very excited.
So for those that don't know, this brother here has not only been able to generate $82,000 a year as a rapper on Fiverr, but I got to be a nosy in my reaction videos, as I tend to be. And I started looking at some of these numbers, and I was like, oh no, this brother did up to $500,000 earning income off of Fiverr. It's such a non-traditional path to go, and I obviously want to get into the details of it, but I want to make sure we have context about, what initially got on my radar about what he's achieving. But I want to kind of follow back to the earlier times, and really your mindset early on. Was your goal early on to kind of get into the traditional industry? Was it to be signed? Was it to, a lot, especially our generation, man, there was a lot of folks that would kind of push that on us regardless if we felt that way or not. How was that early on? Like, what was your focus?
Man, it was never, the idea of taking Fiverr was never, to say I'm making like jingles and stuff was never a thing I wanted to even visualize. Like,
right.
I was even talking to my girl. I was like, I'm supposed to be signed. Like, I'm really good. And she's like, you're getting older. I understand, but what is the plan? I said, I don't know. I'm just really good. You know what I'm saying? So, so to do Fiverr, I was like, this what's up. But like taking it back to working, I've worked over 20 jobs, and that's not uncommon for a lot of creative people, job to job, just not
for sure.
You know what I'm saying? I've worked so many jobs, and working there, I realized it was a job, and I'm sitting there writing rhymes in my spare time, and I'm just like, man, I just do not want to do this. But all those periods of like figuring it out, I always videotape myself. I don't even know what the footage would be used. So on CNBC, you'll see me in the call center just talking to the camera. I mean, I have so much stuff.
That's crazy. So you were documenting at that time. You didn't
always. I've been documenting when I lived with my parents. When I had to move back in, I just talked to the camera like a video journal. Yeah. And I realized that it was helping me get my thoughts out, because we all want to be heard. So I was like, if I ain't got nobody to talk to, I got myself. Man. And then it started to become like, I have a whole hard drive full of me just talking, and I don't even go back and watch it. But I realized as time went on, I was like, I think my story is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And when they came to me and said, you want to share it? I was like, yeah, I think so. Because talking about money to the world is scary, bro. Like, you're vulnerable, opening up, and you know how people can get when they know stuff. But I was like, nah, I need to share it, because I like, there's a lot of people that just don't know. Yeah. And I'm like, how would I be to just be not sharing it? You're not going to get in my pockets. We all got our own gifts. But it was very hard trying to figure out a plan, because you got the pressures of family. Like, what you gonna do? What's the plan? Then you got rent, then you got mortgage, and you want something that pays the bills. You have this idea of like, all right, if I get signed, they're gonna pay me this much, and I can, get this house. But they just don't call. They don't be calling. And then you get a lot of spam in your Instagram, like, sign up with us, Jiggly Bits Records. And it's
Jiggly
like,
Bits Records is crazy. Yeah, but I get what you're saying. Yeah. Or even the scammers that hit you with the, I'm from Def Jam, but I'm using a Gmail account.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, right, pal. But since I ain't got no other choice, how much you talking?
How much you?
Yeah, I ain't got no other options.
You seem you seem real enough.
You seem real enough. 200 followers. Yeah, you get to a place of desperation. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I've been all of them. I've been it, and then getting close to 30, just like, man, this is not what I had thought. And then you see people like, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, and you don't envy them, but you're just like, how do I get there? How do I get the praise and love and the money? And I'm working hard. It's just, I just could never connect it. So at the point of like working a 9-to-5 job that I did not enjoy, I even made, as goofy as it is, I even made a diss song because I was bored. I was like, made a diss song about my job, which I never played. I kept it to myself. I thought it was funny, and I was talking about the job, and because I was like, this is super. But looking back, it's like, bruh, ain't nobody tell me to apply to the job. I chose it.
Yeah.
So like, as I got older, I'm like, bro, I'm complaining about it, but I'm doing nothing. So
can I ask you this while you on that topic really quick?
Yeah.
When you're in the job, it feels like, even though you're getting a paycheck, when you're in the job and you haven't seen the other side of things, and you're wanting to create, so badly. Like I remember working at Quiznos, writing on napkins the things that I wanted to do, or writing lyrics, or preparing, like cutting it. You know, as you're literally cutting the meats and you're cutting the cheeses, you're just thinking to yourself, man, when I get home, I'm hitting the ground running. It's not an environment that's always there to support your creativity. You're there to do a job. Has your opinion or your energy changed or shifted towards the importance of a job versus when you were actually there? Now, as you look back from it with the success that you've had.
Yeah, I mean, everything I was doing at my job, I mean, I still have to do that to a sense because I'm running a business. But I do realize that everything I'm doing with Fiverr, if I actually like took the time to like learn business and like execute it, I probably could have put it off. But having a job is mandatory because, again, if you don't know the tools, if you're not educated on business, pay your rent. Use your free time instead of like running up that new video game. Spend that extra time watching YouTube all night. Like, troubleshoot. I get it. I'll never tell nobody to quit a job because I actually never quit the job. I got let go simultaneously while I was doing Fiverr, and then I said,
I guess it's time.
I guess it's time. I said, maybe I should try to really go hard, and that's how it happened. I never just quit, said, I'm an entrepreneur. It's in my bio. Right. Don't talk to me. You know what I'm saying?
And it wasn't just... Some people do that, though. Some people do go all the way in, and it's like...
And it works. Sometimes it works.
Sometimes it works, but I think that... Okay, here's something I think that's really ironic, because we were watching a video the other day where Bryson Tiller was talking about how the labels... When they're comparing the success stories of independence versus the success stories of like the industry, they only talk about the highlights. They only talk about the Drakes, the little babies, the folks who have monumental success and a whole lot of money to make it look like that. And when they talk about the independence, it's like you compare it to anybody that's visible. And this is not a fair comparison, but he said that there's so many people who sign that you never hear about that got shelved, are trying to figure out how to finally get their music out. Maybe there was a time period where they fit a certain type of artist the label was looking for, and now that time has passed and they're still under contract. It's like there's a lot more unsuccessful stories than there are successful stories. It's just the ones that you're seeing promoted to you. Now, the flip side of that is the folks who quit their job. There's a lot more stories of people who had to go pick up another job because they recognize the things they hated about their job get 10x when you got to do that for yourself. Did you experience that as you? Oh my God! Because I can't even imagine the pressure. And I want to talk about that day after this, but the pressure after you knew, okay, I get to do this, which is a beautiful benefit. But then it's also like, oh no, I have to do this.
I had a reality check of that. Everything from customer service to replying to people to not leaving people on red to if they ask you to revise something, you got to be super like disconnected from emotion. You got to be like, okay, what is this? I have to run so many tasks that you have to have emotional intelligence, meaning you have to be in control of your emotions in order to run it. And that's asking a lot. Like I'm still learning chord progressions. I'm still working on verses. You have to juggle so many things that it's a lot. And so it's definitely harder. And I actually had my first, this is not in the college, but I had my first nervous breakdown in 2018. I'm laughing because it was just so crazy. I didn't know that those things were real.
Yeah.
But what happened was, so what I'm talking about.
Firsthand.
It's staying up, replying to an email at 1 a.m. and then trying to knock out a revision and then going this. And then all of a sudden my heart was beating fast. I'm like, what is happening? And then my girl was like, yo, take time off on the thing. We're going to go to Austin, chill. I said, no. I got to reply to the email. I got to do this. I got to do the verse. I got to go hard on the verse. She said, stop. And then I took time and I was like, whoa, self-care is so important because I'm trying to operate like the CEO, the artist, the secretary, the assistant, and I'm trying to do that 24/7 and it can't work. So I had to recalibrate what was important. Then my prices were lower. So you got people that's hitting me up. I'm getting like 30 things in the queue that's all got a timer that's due in like days. So I'm sitting there like, burnt out. So it was important that I recalibrated how to take care of myself because I'm the most important thing in the whole business.
If you're not here, who gonna fill in? Who can you sub in to bring what you bring, because there's so many things that you have a vision for. Even as I was listening to you talk about the creative process of, say you get a podcast that wants to get a jingle, and you have a system in which you're counting syllables, you're finding the rhythm in that. Yeah. You have the ability to not only write the lyrics, record the lyrics, and mix them, but you also have the ability to produce, because you produce as well. Yeah. There's a lot of hats that I think that people kind of forget. People we take for granted, bro. Like, I'm the same way. Like, I do so many different things, but I don't do them as a badge of honor. I do them because I'm recognizing, yo, if I don't do them, either I'm going to have to pay out all of my money for somebody to do them at the quality that I need them, or they're just not going to get done. And if you do one, if you do one part of it, good luck to the rest of it.
Yeah, yeah. So you nailed it.
Yeah, you nailed it. It is a lot, but the talk to a little bit about the pros though. Like, what was some of the pros of after you start to kind of figure out, all right, I need to pull back whenever my mental health is at risk. I need to pull back because anybody who never been an entrepreneur for themselves, if you don't set office hours, people will take advantage of whatever hours that get your attention.
You nailed it.
You know what I'm saying? So you, and I know you know what I, because Fiverr, I've been on Fiverr as a customer, and I know how it can be when your money's on the line. But how have you kind of found? Two questions. So how after you kind of pulled back, you found the time for self-care. Yeah. What did you start to see as being sort of the pros of this newfound independence?
Oh, man, this is a lot. I had time for self-reflection. I had the time to think about life. I had time to reach out to people that crossed my mind. A lot of times when you're consumed with your work and then you just scraping by for extra time to just be, there's things that you miss. You know, there's moments that you miss. Your perspective on time is very different. So when you have time to reflect and time to, like, say, hey, I'm gonna take a vacation for a couple of days, the power that you have, the most valuable asset in life is time. Amen. You can't get it back. That's right. So when you get control of it, it's a wrap. You get a whole new found love and appreciation for people. That's why when people see me smiling all the time, bro, like, I think if you smile when you're young, people will call you naive. But when you smile as you get older, you persevere. There's a lot of things that I've been through that I can't even talk about because I just been through, but I'm cheesing because I'm like, bro, I done made it. I got people that's not here, that's smiling from up above, that's like, bro, go. Yeah. So I'm happy, bro, because there's a lot of things that I had to overcome that I'm just so grateful for. So when I get an order, I'm cheesing. I'm like, man, because it wasn't always like that. So I'm so grateful. But it's a lot of things about life and time that I get to have new hobbies. I get to spend time with my family. You get control of time. There's nothing greater than that.
Man, and that to me is probably one of the most expensive yet priceless things about having that opportunity to do it, is that, yes, that is the price of being able to have of doing all the things that we do. This is one of the benefits, is knowing that I do all of this so that I can do even more for those that I love, right? I work from home and I can hear my son's voice in the next room right now as we're talking. You know what I mean? So things like where if he wants my attention, it's not calling him from an office, which is not below me at all. I do everything for my family, but having that freedom to just get up and, you know, he has therapy, so be able to jump down and get into the therapy session with a therapist, jump back in here. It's just like, those are things that I didn't know would be such tremendous wins when I was younger, because in my mind, the only win as a music producer or an artist was to be famous. I just didn't know that's what it was. I just thought that was the norm. You know, you pick up your Scratch magazines, your double XLs. That's all you're seeing.
Hold up. Brought it back. I love Scratch. Yes, man. Hold up.
Yeah. So, okay, so I want to rewind it just a little bit. Take me back to the day, because there's a few things in the video I want to address directly that I had some funny reactions to, but I was like,
yes, I know the one you're talking about too, and I can't wait till you bring it up, because I told my brother, I said, yep, he was right. He was thinking, I think he. Go ahead. I know
okay, all right. So there's a few of them. The first one is because you said it earlier. You said the reason why you ended up going full force with this, it wasn't because you quit your job and just walked out the building. They brought you in and said, hey, you know, we're gonna have to let you go. And although that's a very normal thing, you said that the boss said something to you in regards to what you were doing with your rap, with the rapping. And what did he say? What did he say, just for context, before I get to the next question on this?
He was a nice guy, and he was like, I know you do music, good, best of luck with that. Wasn't being sarcastic. He's just a nice guy, and I was like, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And, people don't take I'm a rapper and I work at a call center. So it's kind of like, they can't see what you're talking about. And I was very goofy. I'll be talking about lingo and phrases to people, and I just did not fit in. I was like, I got all this crazy energy and I'm really silly. So yeah, I was like, that's fine. I was eating a Chick-fil-A salad too. They was like on the line with the CEO, and I was like, it's cool, bro.
Yeah.
So yeah. He said best of luck. And I kept that phrase because I'm like, you ain't seen nothing yet, bro.
See, look, you were a lot more mature in that moment. How old were you at that point?
30, early 30s, like 31.
Yeah, I'm 38 now. I was still immature. I ain't even gonna hold you. 31, like I said in the video, I'll be swinging over the arms, be knocking stuff over. Like, what you mean? Good luck on my music thing. I know. I being hypersensitive and insecure about things because it's to this day, fam. I don't care what level of success that you have. It feels a certain way when people ask you, what do you do for a profession? And you say, I rap. Because the first thing that come out their mouth ain't usually something positive, right?
Ever. Because they say you rap, and then they say, what you rap about? Money, girls. They always say it. Like, I said, man, you act like this the only thing you've ever heard. Like, I can literally name 10 artists that didn't even talk about that. They say, It's just nasty.
Yeah, or
nasty.
Or won't you give us a little something? As if, if you were a plumber, sir, am I gonna ask you to display your plumbing skills? You know what I'm saying? Like when I tell you, oh, you a plumber? Man, everybody comes to the bathroom. We got to see what he can do. Like that doesn't even seem like. But they do that to us because it's a performative sport, and obviously the audience is involved in that. But so you get that news, you take it in a very mature way, in my opinion, and you go embark on that. Was that how challenging of a conversation was it when you already made the decision internally, like, yo, I'm going all in on this with Fiverr? Was that the first? Was that in your mind? I don't want to assume.
No.
Oh, okay, what was it?
Because I just proposed to my girlfriend at the time, and then I got fired the next day. That was the part that didn't get in the story. It is true. And I was like, So then I called her and said, we're going to have a good Christmas. I mean, it was before Christmas too. So I was like, I already got my little bonus. So I was like, so pretty much I was like, I'm going to hit up Indeed.com. And I was like, but I'm kind of already making a little side money on Fiverr. You think I should just try that a little harder? She was like, yeah, go for it. So I give her credit for like, because she could have been like, no, but she was saying like, do it, but also make sure you're looking for a job. So I gotta preface that, y'all. Like, nothing for my story, it wasn't just like, this is what I am. It was literally like 1 foot here, but like going harder. Like, because I was like, if I fail at giving everything, then I have to go back. So I was like, I was fighting for my life.
All my life I had to fight. No, I get it. I know that energy. You know how many moments I didn't have like that?
So I was like, I can give it everything, and then this could be it, or I can like give it everything and fail, and then. But it was kind of working. So if I can equate it, it was like making minimum wage. So I was paying my bills, paying, and then I was able to eat decently. But I was riding with that for a few months. So it was like, hey, I can live like this very modestly. It wasn't until the summer of 2017 where everything changed. Wow. Everything changed.
Okay, so before we get to that, how did family? Because that's another aspect of it. Like having the person that is with you, that loves you, that wants to see you win, wants to see you happy. They understand things even when they don't understand things on a level that sometimes family could never understand it because there's generational differences. I mean, if you don't mind me asking, not to be intrusive on that, but how was the family response to you at this age making this pivot? And even though you are putting in the applications, you're going through the Indeed process, still pursuing this because a lot of folks generations before us would be like, "You still doing that music thing?"
Yeah, that's a phrase I've heard a lot, and I use it as fuel. I shout out to my brothers, and particularly my brother Jonathan. He's the one that if I don't do the beat, he does it. So everything I've ever personally dropped is just me and him.
Wow.
I was very much keeping it in house because I'm like, Yeah, no, because he learned beats from me, and he's better than me. So I was like,
Yeah.
all right, you 11 years younger than me. So I'm like,
what
I
DAW?
should never have to.
What DAW you using, by the way?
I use Reason. He used Fruity Loops.
Shout out to your brother. Then I'm just
yes, I know. He used Fruity Loops. I looked on Fruity Loops. I know. I looked at Fruity Loops. I said, I don't understand. I'm back to my Reason. He looked at Reason. He said, this looks like a freaking this is like a dang spaceship up here.
Look,
so,
I pushed one button and that thing flipped around and all the cords started shaking.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, the thing wiggled.
Close that laptop and move on with my life. But you were the one that actually kind of like taught him the ropes with the production, and so you guys switch off that responsibility. That's super dope to have family be involved in the process. I feel like family who's involved in it has a completely different understanding and respect for what it is that you do. Yeah,
and my grandfather is a jazz musician from New Orleans. Wow. So my first DAW was actually a Bose BR something. It's the little machine with the microphone, and it has the faders. So you literally got really a small screen, and you got to know how to like work it without having much to look at. And that was the first one I had. So all my little recordings when I first started was on that. My dad bought it from him, and it taught me how to mix without even having a computer screen. So I'm very grateful for the infancy of it. I found it on eBay, and I was like, I'm gonna cop it. I don't care. I just want the nostalgia of it, because I forgot I had to learn how to mix like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was my brother watched me, and then my other brother watched him, and he got even colder. So they looked up to me, but I was like, y'all are just stupid talented. And my sister can sing, and my parents they are pharmacists, but they are science based. But they still was like, I know you're doing your thing. And maybe they couldn't see it, but they never really was knocking it. You know what I'm saying? So
that's dope.
Therefore, I had enough support for me to be cool, but I had enough outside people that saying, you know, what is he doing? Need to finish school. So I had enough of that, but that fuels it. You know, I like to prove my favorite place to be is where I'm doubted. That's why my gig on Fiverr, I'm like, you know, I'm rapping, I'm happy, no cursing, and then you think, oh, he ain't about to kill it, and then I killed a verse.
Yeah,
and you're like, what? I thought you was all friendly, happy, good time. And I said, no, I'm going to kill this verse. I like when people don't believe in me, because that's where I thrive. I love it. Like, don't believe in me. Think I'm going to suck. I'm going to prove you wrong every time.
Which leads me to my next question that you knew was coming up.
Yes, I do.
Because I said very specifically, I said, if I talk to this brother, I have to ask him this question. Did you have that rapper blood and that rapper instinct when you went on Fiverr? And I don't know how many people were offering anything similar to what you were offering, but I remember looking it up one time and seeing the kind of rappers that were on Fiverr, and they had a very specific sound. You know what that sound was? Not very good. It was a genre called not very good. So you as a lyricist, as someone who loves their craft, respects the craft, and the craft is, if you haven't heard what this brother can do, please watch that video. Please do your research on his actual Fiverr page, which will be linked here in the description. But we know that you're serious about what you're doing, right? Very. Did you look at that? Was there any moment when you looked at that and you was like, man, I know.
Of course.
700 ratings for that. I just know.
Bruh, if we keeping it a buck, yes.
Keep it a buck, please do.
I'm a hip hop head.
Okay.
Like, you can never get twisted. I grew up on Jadakiss. I grew up on Biggie. I grew up on pop, and I also love the new stuff like so much.
Yeah.
I'm when you hip hop, you have a DNA of competition.
Yes.
It's not. That's why we always debate who better. It's a competitive thing that I can't take out. But when I'm doing an interview, I gotta be respectful, because I understand like somebody may think I suck. So I gotta be cognizant that the world is big. So I'm like, I'm gonna be nice. But nah, bro, I was like, these jokers suck. Like, let me come here and murder.
This barbershop talking here. It's a little different from CNBC. Shout out to CNBC. Much love to them, of course. But as I was looking at I was watching that video, I was like, I don't know if it's like my sixth sense as a rapper, because I've been around so many rappers. I've been a rapper. I was like, I know he went in there and it was like barbecue chicken, like Shaq said, barbecue chicken. But even
I'ma eat,
right? But even so, how many times have we all had moments like that where we looked at the playing field and we said, man, I could dominate that. But then we start to recognize, as we put one foot in front of the other, that it's not just as easy as just rapping good, right? There's a process. There's a presentation. Even Fiverr at one point in time didn't look like what it looks like today.
Right.
So what were some of those, I guess, early obstacles as you were signing up? You were saying, I do feel like I can find success on this platform called Fiverr, which For context, if you guys don't know what Fiverr is, they're not sponsoring this video, but if you don't know what Fiverr is, it sounds like I'm getting ready to get into that spiel. That's why I said that. They're basically a website that started off as a marketplace for pretty much anybody who had a skill that they were willing to sell for $5, hence the name Fiverr. Now, over time, that has shifted to where the offerings have a lot more variety, and there's so many walks of life. I've used Fiverr many a times. For animators, for voiceover actors, for commercials, all these different things that they offer. But that's the platform. Yeah. You sign up on a platform, licking your chops because you know it's barbecue chicken. You're getting ready to eat. These brands and these companies who got money have no idea what's coming up. What were some of those early obstacles, though, for you as you were getting on this platform?
Well, yes, I want to answer that. So look, that's why I reserved when I said, because there was a couple of people in particular, I remember what they looked like, but I don't remember their name, which I'd never say. And I realized I got to shout them out because they actually took advantage of a platform, even though they weren't great. They were there and they set up their profile and they said, I'll rap for it. And I was like, they were smart. So that's what you got to acknowledge. Like I put so much energy in the skill, but I was like, there's a whole marketing thing. There's a whole presentation.
Right.
And so I was like, dang, how do I get somebody to look at my joint? How do I get somebody to look at my gig? Do I post it on, IG or Facebook? And I'm like, but dang, I still feel like this is kind of corny. Like, that's what's going on in my head. So I ain't really posted. I was like, and I think I posted it once on Facebook, like, if y'all need a little jingle, check me out. And my family like, you go, boy. I'll have to get me one. They never did, though. And so then I'm like,
God bless family, because don't they all do it to all of us, especially black families. We know you for sure got that one or that one, that one family friend that's like, oh baby, you keep doing what you doing. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that F a little studio is, but but whatever you doing on your Nintendo, I support.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I had it, and I was like, thank you, Granny. Thank you. It was like back to what I was doing. So the obstacle was, how do I get people to even look at it? Because I'm ready to kill a verse. I'm thinking I'm about to kill a verse, like give me some heat. And the first few orders I got was not that. It was like some weird stuff. So I was like, I mean, it's money. I can do it. So then I was like, let me do it. I don't know. This is not really hip hop, but let me do it. And I got a review, and they said he was great. And I was like, so that's what I was like, broadening my horizon. Like, well, I got paid, and I'm looking, there's money in my account. I said, so I started to be like, hey, maybe this ain't so bad. So a lot of my views of life and of walks of life have changed since I started,
Changed from what would you say?
Being more empathetic of all walks of life and cultures, because there's a map of all the people that you've worked with. Like, it has a map of the world. It has cultures, and it says you worked this many sales in this country, this many sales. And I've looked, and I'm half the world, like so many countries. And I'm just like, I've got to talk with people, learn about things, learn certain customs, learn what words are like appropriate. I was just like, I'm learning about the world. So my bubble of what I thought, even what it means to be black, I'm like, it's very limited. Like, the world is bigger than what I even thought just from doing this music thing.
Man.
And then when you run a business, you get to work with so many people. You're like, dang, people are dope, man. Like, they just want to be acknowledged and loved, because I'm making songs for people that I wouldn't even have thought I'd be making songs for. You know what I'm saying? People in Norway, people in South Africa, people in China. I'm just like, this is crazy, man. It's really dope.
It sounds like you almost traveled the world in this environment without having to physically leave your studio, which is, I think, for a lot of people, that's a dream come true, in that here you are doing all of this business without having to worry about someone that's like a middleman that tells you, how you're going to get paid, or is negotiating terms that maybe that you haven't discussed. And a lot of people get into that, I guess, major label ecosystem, and that's exactly what they endure. And then they come to find out, man, so many of my prime years were spent not just doing one thing, but maybe not the thing that I could have been the best at, right? So I look at what you do, and I'm like, there are a lot of people out here who would say, man, Fiverr, you gonna use your skills to rap on Fiverr? And then when you see like the orders that people put in, and the thing about it is, it ain't on you. Some of these folks, like, when I look at, even when I was at one point I was on Fiverr for a second, when I was getting some of these submissions, I think I left because I was like, you want me to rap about, you want me to do what? Like, this not even inside of my wheelbarrow. But how are you able to kind of like strike that balance between the things creatively you want to represent you, but also executing on this order so that they do cut the check?
Yeah, it was hard. A lot of it was sitting there looking at like, oh, can I do this? I don't know. It was a lot of it was a lot of moments.
Without naming it, what was one of those that left you like that?
Well, the first one, I don't even remember the names, but I can tell you the setup because I was very grateful for them. I had to rap about this is crazy. I don't know if you got to send in your poop and then they do a scientific thing to see if you're healthy. And I had to rap about it. And it's like poop, something like that. And I was like, is this very hip hop of me? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
did you feel like your hip hop card was getting revoked at that moment? You were like, how would Jada Kiss feel about me doing this?
Yeah, exactly. I always think like Jay-Z's like, yo, B, you can't be rapping about poop if you're gonna be on the rock. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just keep thinking like, if I ever meet Jay, he's like, let me check your catalog. I was like, don't check that.
Don't look at that part. That's not. That was. It's a time period. You know, I needed to do what I had to do, but no.
Yeah, at first it was like that.
Yeah.
Because I literally was like, well, ain't nobody gonna see me. Like, I'm not really known. And then my artist name was Super Hype Mike, because that was the name of my mixtape. Okay. So I just kept it as Super Hype MIC. But what happened was people were just throwing my name on their project. So I was on all these different things. And I was like, yeah, if I ever put out real music, this ain't gonna work. So I was like, I gotta change my name. My name change happened kind of recently. I was like, this can't work. But yeah, I was trepidatious about doing these things. But then I was like, bruh, it's either do this or go back to what I was doing.
Hello.
I'd rather do this and chill at home. Yeah. What's the problem? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna do this. And then I was realizing, like, who cares, man? Nobody even knows me. That's how I started feeling.
Well, I was gonna say what I think is super ironic is that those are the same emotions I went through when I went from kind of being in this, not even kind of, when I was in the studios with these artists and these major label opportunities. And I said, you know what? I want to get away from this because the income is not as frequent as I need it, because I have things happening. Even when I land a placement, I have things that are happening between now and the release of this project that cannot wait until a release. Right. And I don't even know how much money that's going to be because I'm negotiating for myself. And I don't know no better. But when I started to sell beats online, oh my gosh, like, I had so many people that told me, like, bro, you're going to ruin your reputation. You're going to ruin all the momentum of working with these artists that you work with, you know, the Kendricks and the Ab-Souls. And it's like, you can't do this, man. You can't do this. And I was like, if I don't do this, I can't do any of it.
Right. Wow.
But I was so stubborn about it. And that's why I asked you that question. Bro, I was so stubborn about it that I was like, are you really going to go broke so that you can look like you're not broke? How much longer can this kid, forget looks, how much longer can you do this mentally? Because in a minute, everything is going to change. And so when I sold beats, it was the first time that I had ever saw, even after working at Quiznos, that I had saw multiple thousands of dollars in a month in the first or second months. But that was only because I had folks who had been doing it for years, and I'm thankful to be able to even come in contact with, you know, like my boy Awesome, who knew the lay of the land, but not everybody's that lucky, right?
Right.
So for you, how long were you kind of like trudging along, learning your way through it before you actually had a month that was like, oh, hey, yo, wait a minute, this ain't just minimum wage. This might be something.
It took I'd say it took about 6 months.
6 months.
You know. Yeah, it took about 6 months because, I mean, like I said, I was getting a couple of hundred here and there as when I first started. I think I started in officially the last time I really started was 2016 April, and I didn't get an order for like several months. But then I get like $200 one month, $300 next month, and it's like, oh, 1,000 this month? That's crazy. And then and then Christmas time, I think I got an extra 1,000, and that's when I got let go. And again, minimum wage all 2017 until the summer, and then once summer hit, I got on all these YouTubers. Like, YouTuber was, hey, I'm gonna hire this guy on Fiverr and he's gonna rap for me, and everybody was doing that. And there was a lot of people doing diss songs in 2017 too, like YouTubers. So I just happened to be floating in the ecosystem when they were looking for content, and so they're like, I'm gonna get them to rap about me. So I don't even know who I was talking to. They hit me up, say, hey, make a song about me, and I rap. They tell me, and I don't even look, and they say, hey, here's the video, and I'm like, wait, you got 1 million followers? Who are you?
Wow.
Yeah. So
Were they
then I'm
feeding
looking
you?
up.
Were they feeding you details about the person you were making the diss about?
Yeah. No. Well, the first ones was just about them, but yeah, the disses at first they would tell me, and a lot of them were ghostwritten, but I mean, primarily the disses came like later in 2017. But the
Okay.
first one was just they needed content for their YouTube, so they were going to hire people on Fiverr. And again, they just say, "Hey, make a rap song," and I always just kill it. Like I'm not trying to be goofy. I'm not trying to be like,
Yeah.
and this guy here, because I can give you the bare minimum and it'll be enough content. But like, no, I don't know who finna hear it. I'm finna kill everything.
I love that.
And so I was just there. And so once YouTubers posted using me and I'm rapping about y'all, people like Fiverr has rappers, and then all of a sudden I got a flood of people coming to Fiverr, a flood, like people that didn't even know that this existed, and they coming straight to me.
So
I'm like, whoa.
Well, but let me ask you this, because I think this is a really important point for those who are listening, because there's a few folks, including Avedon, who was like, man, I hope you get a chance to talk to this brother at one point in time. Well, we're here. Who's on there? He's on that platform, and I'm sure that folks are wondering, in the midst of doing that for 6 months, how are you kind of promoting yourself, one, and two, are you doing anything presentation-wise that you feel like helps you stand out when people are running these searches?
Yeah. So back in 2017, Fiverr was not what it was now. You don't have you can't promote your gig. And just their name wasn't as big. So what I would do when there's because again, I'm making minimum wage, so I'm not getting that many orders the first few months. So I go to the gym and be like, man, I ain't got no work today. I'm like, let me reshoot the video. Let me add some more stuff on it. So downtimes are good. That's when you can get creative. That's when you can fluff up your resume, send out emails, like just fluff it up. I didn't promote as much as I probably maybe should have, but I didn't. Wow. I just would make sure my presentation was on point. And then when I have an order, I knock it out early. You know what I'm saying? And I'd respond to messages.
Right.
I would just make sure that I'm still working on my craft. Around that period, even on my Instagram, you can see I was still posting stuff. I was still being creative. So I was always the song a day challenge. I see people do that for a month. I would do that. Even I just like to stay in the loop, but now I'm doing I'm several songs a day. So it's just kind of funny. I was already prepping myself to do this already. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
to answer the question, I was just being actively creative and making sure that I was delivering my work and being good in my responses. And then just, adding more videos, adding more gigs. Anytime it was slow, I would just do as much as I could, but I didn't promote it. Looking back, I would have, but I didn't promote it.
Yeah. Well, and I guess my question is more specifically on Fiverr. What advice would you give to someone who is in their first 6 months and they're trying to figure out, everybody kind of had, when you look at a Fiverr gig, everybody kind of has, it seems like their own pitch, their own way of writing. And some people, I feel like the ones who, in my opinion, succeed the most are the ones where you listen to their voice in the demos and you could still hear their voice when you're reading the bio. It's such a weird thing. But as I'm looking at your videos and I'm seeing your energy and I'm seeing the way that you are moving around in your music videos, I can hear, even in your interview, I can hear that same tonality within your bio and the things that you're saying of how you're presenting it. And I feel like that's such a key. At the beginning of this year, I actually set up a page to become a voiceover artist, not knowing anything. I hadn't even heard your story yet, which is crazy. But I set it up and I didn't pull the trigger on it because I was like, I don't know if it's time yet. I want to still do stuff with the YouTube. But I set it up and I did so much research. And once again, the ones I gravitated towards were people who had bios that it didn't feel like a pitch. It felt like, hey, you're here. You're probably looking for stuff like this. Well, just to let you know, I work with KFC. I work with these folks. But I'm really most passionate about working with somebody like you. That's the kind of stuff that helps. So do you think there were things that you might have done that contributed to the success, or just being the one most likely to get clicked on when people started coming to you?
Yeah, in retrospect, I get it now. It's something I wasn't cognizant of, but it's cool that you noticed that. I think it's my how I articulate when I message people, and even in my bio. I don't use like a template, because I used to hate typing my bio and everything. It's like, okay, what's the template? I'm from here. I do this. My genre. I used to hate it because it sounded so like school.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was I would read what the template or what I would need to be said, and I would kind of try to talk like myself. Because again, I'm a customer too. So whenever you make a bio, when you say your gig, like, does this sound appealing to you? Like, would you hire this person? Do they sound like somebody that just, even if you're not a big fan of their work, do they sound cool? Like just keep that in mind. I order from people all the time on Fiverr just to get the experience and then use for my stuff. So I'm just like, let me just be me, because when you yourself, you don't have to worry if you like made something up. There's like, you said that somebody's like, bro, you said that you, yeah. Yeah, I do that. That's like, you be forgetting. So when you yourself, you can say what you are in your sleep. Say, yeah, I do that. You just don't ever have to
casual. Think. Yeah. You're not putting on airs for it.
No airs.
And I look at it, man, and I feel like that's also something that would make me want to click on yours first, is because you're not presenting an image. It's like, look, this is exactly what it is. This is what I can do. I'm open to getting different suggestions. So much so that you even got, it's still something that cracked me up. The kid that hit you up and wanted you to make a song about why Eminem, it's okay to listen to Eminem. I was like, what in the 11-year-old then got his money and sent you something?
It gotta be 11.
What are some of the worst that you've received that you were just like, I can't do this?
Yeah, there's a couple. There's one, somebody wanted me to, I don't even know what was happening. I think it was obviously a joke. They wanted me to wear a black dress and rap about how somebody's the greatest. I said, what? And their budget was $10. I said, oh no, I'm so offended on so many levels.
Yeah, as you should be. I'm offended for you. Like they hit me up.
Yeah, it was so crazy. I was like, I'll never forget you. I didn't type that. I said, I'll never forget this. It's just been a lot of stuff. There's one thing I wanted to say in particular, since you mentioned that. I know that people use Fiverr and like hire somebody to say goofy stuff and it's like fun, but I was never one to be the butt of the joke. So when they say, can you do green screen, I usually turn it down because I'm like, I don't know how you're going to use my image. Yeah, I'm really protective of that. I know that because there was a period where I see people hire people on Fiverr and they just laughing at the reaction. I was like, if I'm in on the joke, cool. But I see how people flipped it, and I was like, never. So when I see they send me some crazy stuff, I say, not interested. Even if they paying a lot, you know what I'm saying? It just hurts me to think that I've worked so hard and I can just be just some trash for you to collect, monetize, and then I'm just looking like boo-boo the fool. Like boo-boo the fool.
Well, I think also something that stands out, especially on your Fiverr profile, and I think it's just an extension of your personality, is that you draw a very clear line in the sand. Right. Yeah. You say, I'm not going to do cursing. Yeah. I'm not going to talk about these things. And if you can abide by these standards, I'm very much open to a conversation. And I know a lot of people who are like, man, if you made $500,000 with those restrictions, imagine if you loosen up a little bit on these things. Yeah. I would make the argument that because you have those strict standards, it attracts a certain type of clientele. Because your price is where it's at, it attracts a certain kind of clientele.
Correct.
Being that you were in a place where you were selling your services for cheaper at one point, and then you transition, what did you notice as the biggest difference between when you did that in terms of the quality of customers that you were receiving?
Oh, man, bingo. When your prices are lower, people operate and treat you kind of like, they'll ask you to revise a song 10 times, and it's like, this don't even make sense. And then they'll say, oh, we like the first one. They would work you to death for that $25 or that. They'll work you to death. But when that price goes up, they're not even interested. And then you get clientele that's like, they got money. They're like, no, we'll spend the money. And then you deliver it. They're like, it's great. It's what we wanted. They don't have a million requests. I was like, man, raise them prices up, because I didn't even know that. Like, anybody who runs business, they get it. But it's like, raise them up so you get more quality. Because people take for granted when you put, I'll rap for you for $25. They just, in their head, they think it's low quality. I could just abuse and take advantage of this. They don't even know that they might be getting a person that has a Grammy, but you have to put something close to a worth that reflects your skill. And it's been a learning lesson in business that I had to do. And every artist struggles with that. Where do you put the price? Man. You don't want to scare people away. And the cursing thing, that was literally my brother. Because we grew up, we didn't cuss. And I was at the beginning of all my shows back in like 2012. I'd be like, put your mother hands up in the air. You drunk, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then everybody hype. And then my brother didn't tell me he was coming to that show. And then I get off stage and he's there. He looks up to me and I was like, bro, I was just getting the hype. He said, oh, bro, big bro, I ain't tripping. And I was like, nah, man.
That was a
What I
moment.
say I am is
Yeah.
conflicting. So I was like, I can't do that. This feels weird. Like I'm a fraud. So I was like, I don't ever even want to say it because whatever you see me here is where you see me over there, is where you see me over there. I'm the same real person. I don't want to put no fake on. I don't like when people do that to me. So that's when I drew the line in the sand before Fiverr was even a thing. I stopped putting it because, and then I'm like, and then when you got these things in our hip hop culture where people pass and then we talk about the violence, the music. I said, I get requests all the time. I want to hit my ops. I said, bro, you 12, you 15. What? The music is literally, it affects us, man. So I'm not censoring the music we listen to. If you're an adult and you're discerning, bro, watch the Denzel, watch the movies. I can understand it, but bro, I do not want to put that into the mix. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the dope thing about being creative. Restrictions make you the most creative. Restrictions make you the most creative.
Man,
when you have one DAW to work with.
Explain that.
When you talk about Prince and he's in the 80s, early 80s, he's only using the Lindrum and the Oppenheimer, and he's making all these hits. He's only using two things. Like he had more in a guitar, specific guitar. When you limit the amount of tools that you have, you get the most creative. Think about it. We only speak in English. If I could speak 3 languages and I'm flipping through, you'd be like, bro, I cannot follow. But when I gotta focus is where genius happens. When you focus, that's why people are geniuses, because they can focus. But when you're all over the place, bro, there's no genius. It's all over the place. So what I'm saying is, if I spent all my time like I did on Fiverr on YouTube, I probably I'll be bigger. But I've put my focus on Fiverr. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what I'm saying. Focus is it, because I didn't even promote. I didn't blow up my Instagram. I was like, Fiverr's where my energy's at. Focus is where genius is at, man. You gotta focus, and it's harder. It's harder now with so many distractions. It's true, but take the time to get offline and focus in what you're trying to do. Learn those chord progressions, learn business, read a book, and just be a beast. Because it's really hard. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like I know when God's talking to me, because this is second time I've heard this message in a day. You know the first person that said what you said about the benefits of limitation? Manny Fresh.
What?
Manny Fresh, the GOAT. Manny Fresh talked about how those Cash Money songs, those the ones in that era, those songs in that era, he said about a 3 or 4 year span were made on hardware where there were only 8 sounds for them to choose from.
God, that's what I'm talking about.
Only 8, and think about any of them Juvenile records. Think about any of those Lil Wayne records. Any of that, he said there was only 8 sounds for him to circulate through, because anytime he added anything over the top of that, it would start to kind of it would kind of glitch out. The hardware would glitch out. It was only 8 instruments you could put on there. So, in the sense, the limitation is what sparked more creativity, and I just think that's something that we sleep on now, because in this generation, no matter what your DAW is, it's a matter of what your computer can handle. I got 96 gigabytes of RAM. I can stack these things up. I can stack as many of these up, but it's like, I never forget way back in my pirating days.
For sure.
I had a buddy of mine that gave me a hard drive of contact libraries, and I remember installing all of them on there, and I've never felt so creatively stalled, because I didn't know where to start first. I had too many options. It was almost like looking at a menu, and I was like, just give me fries. It's too much.
That's what I'm saying. It's the truth, and I'm just adding to that just to conclude, because it's so important. I've read about it and thought about it. It's like creativity, and if I could simplify it, is problem solving. If you have every tool in the world, there's no problem. But when you limit it, make this a banger. I'm gonna get 4 tracks. It's like, dang. All right, maybe if I do it, and you get like getting creative, you start thinking, how can I make that happen? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's hard because you got so many tools, but yeah, all the songs that we consider classics, they be having like 5 instruments, bro. You'll sit, like, it's just crazy. So Pharrell too. Pharrell, he don't even monetize, he don't even quantize his stuff, and he just be using simple Swiss beats. You know what I'm saying?
Man, come on.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's hard because it's like, if I hop on Splice, I got everything at my disposal, but when I niche it down, I can probably make something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I do think there's so much value to, when you give those limitations, you don't leave any choice for well, what if I do this? They call it analysis paralysis. When you have way too many options, you start making these very head scratching decisions moving forward.
Right.
Something else I think that's so remarkable about how you did this with Fiverr is that I remember there was a period of time, and around the time that you talked about you were doing this, that I was using Fiverr, and I remember other friends of mine that were using Fiverr being very hush hush that they used the service, even though they put all kind of money into it. They were very hush hush because they didn't want their competition or somebody else to use the same resource. I was one of those where I had an album run, and I had an album run for a project called Raging Waters, and I went, and I never forget, it was a guy who would swim underwater, and he would write your message on a whiteboard and put it up on the screen and keep going. And people were like, how did you get somebody to do that? And I was like, don't worry about that. I'm connected.
Don't worry about that. I got
So the fact that you were able to do this when there was a time where Fiverr was a very hush hush thing, like, oh, I paid $5 for this. To me, it just makes it that much more remarkable because so much of the success is word of mouth. So much of the success is the people who are being very open about using and utilizing the tools that you have. How do you feel about? Did you ever feel that was a thing, or was that kind of perspective?
Yeah, I
that
saw
was
all of those. I saw all of those waves come and go. I remember the different people that do these little goofy things and they promote, but it worked. And people would dance. There was dancing just blew up, and everybody was getting people to dance to their songs, and they use Fiverr. So I saw all of those, and it was kind of like, I'm still on here, like I'm not really promoting it, but I'm doing my thing. Mm-hmm. But what kind of like made me feel cool was that I was still making my own art, and people were finding out about me just from posting freestyles on Instagram, not even knowing that the two, because my name on Fiverr was not the same as my artist name. It was different. And Burton M6 on Fiverr, and then Keybeaux on here. So it was almost like I was two different people. And I like that, because whatever I do on Instagram is like from my heart. Like, you can't tell me to revise it, because this is what I want to do.
Right.
I needed that outlet. You know what I'm saying? I really needed it. But I was still getting work from there, which was really amazing. I was really blown away.
See that?
I was.
And that kind of leads me to another question I wanted to ask about your music, in that it's the weirdest thing in the world, bro. And I don't know if you've ever peeped game on this, but just from a listener standpoint, when an artist either becomes like a TV host, like an exhibit for Pimp My Ride, their music comes back almost too polished, because of how they've been utilizing their voice. They learn different things about how to like, how to deliver their message in ways that maybe aren't the best for their creativity, but they're the best for TV. They're the best for broadcast, and making sure that you kind of make your message very compact.
Right.
And you kind of miss a little bit of that nuance. Did you notice any of that for you in terms of the difference between how you created before and after? Or, excuse me, did you notice a difference? And then second, were you happy with the difference that you did notice, if any?
Yeah, I noticed the difference. I was able to, I don't miss nothing about, because I'm able to turn on my voice and go hard and rap fast, because everybody wanted me to rap fast. And I was like, I want to go slow, but it's like, but we like when you go fast. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, so then I started to do that on Instagram. I was like, nah, but I want to do something weird. I want to sing. So I had to like start to say whatever I post on Instagram is not for likes. It's literally just because I want to get it out my system. And I had to you have to train that, because we're so, like, likes is all that. It's kind of like it messes with your head creatively. Like, okay, this means this is good because I got this many likes. Nah, bro. I seen stuff with 1 like and it's amazing.
Yep.
I seen kids post something with no views. I'm like, this is amazing. So we almost like lose the fact of what do you actually like? The phrase was like, you see something, and they're like, I don't know how I feel about this. Bro, think about it. You don't have to wait for somebody to tell you. Think about it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. And
what do you think?
Maybe you're currently feeling it. Maybe that's why you can't explain it.
Exactly.
I don't know what I'm looking at, because you're talking over what you're looking at.
Exactly. Yeah, like just take it in. Like, it's okay. And that phrase I think about is like, because that it's usually followed like, what do you guys think? No. What you think? And we're homogenized with our thoughts, is because we're all in a clique, and it's dope. I love the internet, but it's like you lose like what you think is dope, because really what's dope is whatever you think. It's not what everybody. It's what you. I like that. Not I know y'all don't, because my CD collection in high school, people thought it was bump. Like I had like rock, I had, R&B, a lot of R&B. And it was like, bro, where the DJ Screw? Because, I'm from Houston.
Yeah.
Bro, where the Mike Jones? Where the Slim Thug? I said, I don't really listen to you ain't from Houston, dog.
Wow.
Where the UGK, dog? And I said, and I didn't listen to it. I liked it. I didn't listen to it.
Who was in that spindle? Like, give me something from every genre. Like, give me some of your favorites from that. Because there was an era or time where for rock, like I almost had to hide it from my friends because they was
crazy.
Because the ones that I ended up still being friends with today, they got it. I didn't have to hide it from them. But the other ones, they was like, man, what the hell is a yes? Or what is it? You know what I'm saying? Maps.
Yeah.
They're like, who the hell is Modest Mouse? And I'm like, but that's
oh my God.
That's for me. Like this feels warm. This feels like something different that I can't always get from hip hop. I still love hip hop, but it's like you don't go to a foot doctor trying to solve a headache.
Correct.
Right? Please. It just sounds ridiculous, but that's what I go with music. If music is your medicine, well, every medicine is not made the same way. So I love having a variety in my palette. But what are some bands or what are some names that kind of pop out from that era that were really influential on your sound?
So like I said, I listened to literally everything. I was Flo Milli, all that now. But if we're talking about the early 2000s, which is pretty much like the foundational what I listened to, it was, Eminem, it was Outkast, Missy. Man, if I could just, Missy's the cornerstone. Because I would get chills anytime I'd hear her music because it was always left of what everybody else was doing. I said, yes, that's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear everything sounding. I loved it. I love when people take a left, even if nobody, because people don't remember when Missy first came out. Yeah, she was popular, but a lot of people was like not really like she wasn't like super appreciated. I'm telling you, I remember it was like, oh, you like that kind of weird stuff. It wasn't until I would say is Work It. She was like officially like, yeah, it's Missy. She here. But I love Missy. I love Timbaland. Everything Timbaland. I love it because they'd always do some weird sounds, man. And that they don't even do the typical rapping, but I just loved it. I loved it. Wayne, Jada. But let me talk about the other genres real fast. With rock, I didn't get it in the home, so I had to get it from my homeboys, and it would be like Deftones. I love the Deftones.
Deftones, okay.
I love the Deftones. Korn.
I love man, Korn. Freak on a Leash.
I'm feeling like a freak on a yeah. I love Korn. And obviously 9 Inch Nails, I would say Closer because that beat was just so nuts to me. I tell my brother like I was like,
that's that prime time TRL era right there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's that Blue Monday era. That's that Robbie Williams era, man. That Fat Boy Slim era, bro. Like that music, like I feel like to a certain degree, Jamiroquai is another that
man.
I feel like
made up.
Man, like especially that man that traveling through, like that's classic. But I feel like in a lot of ways that kind of ushered in what I think is going to be considered the iPod generation, in that we're probably the first generation that we didn't have to physically have a collection of vinyls all over the place, even though a lot of us did.
Wow. Yeah.
We had these iPods that could fit more music than ever before on one singular device, and it was very common to see Coldplay in the same playlist as Too Short. You know what I'm saying? Or like that was a very common thing in our generation. But I feel like that era, it was so much music that was allowed to be in the same space, and it wasn't as divided as I feel like a lot of it is now with the way playlisting is and all these other things. But
good point.
It's a lot of stuff that's changed, man.
Yeah, I just love hearing music. I love seeing when I see a random band. Like the thing about it, if you're an artist, there is no draw the line. That's why I like reading old books. Little Richard, I read his book. Pretty much the Beatles were like super fans of everything black rock. So they come over here and everybody's screaming, it's the Beatles. And they're like, shut up. Where's Little Richard? Where's Chuck Berry? And so while the world is, while America's divided, they're like, this is black music, this is white music. They're like, no, we freaking love you. Artists, musicians, they operate on a different wavelength. Y'all see borders, we see I like it. So we shouldn't feel ashamed if we like. I was bumping Britney Spears, bro. Like when I heard that song, She's So Lucky. I was like, I like this song. NSYNC, I like this song.
There was a lot of like look, I at the time I wasn't very proud to say it, but even Spice Girls had such great
I love
sound
Spice Girls,
selection.
dog.
They did, but if you said that around some hip hop heads back then, they were like, "Oh, your card is revoked. How dare you?"
And it's so crazy because whoever wrote the songs, they up there with Babyface, bro. Like remove what y'all thinking and listen to this song. Yeah. This Spice Girl song goes hard. Like if somebody else sang, you'd be like, "Oh, I like it." Nah, I can see right through that. The songwriter's killing this, producer's killing this.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you really paying attention, you see like you can tell it was good music. You can tell.
And I wonder too, because since we both have a very similar variety in our palettes, how much that is a benefit to you as you're getting orders from folks who are asking for things that are like the average rapper would be like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, what does that even sound like? Because I'm sure sonically, are you typically getting requests that people are basing upon what they've heard from you or based upon what they need?
What they need. It's not, it's a lot of times sometimes they don't even check out my work. So when they messaging me, need something like this, and I was like, here's some of my songs just so you know what I do. And they're like, oh, we were thinking more hard gangster. And I said, that's not what I'm finna do. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm so grateful because I get a lot of people that have run the gambit, and then they be like, I know this is a weird request, but we're thinking if you could do. And I said, oh, I love that type of music. Let's buzz it. Yeah. I love house. I love this. You know what I'm saying? Like, bring it. You feel me? So I like listening to all of it. But if you only listen to one genre, not only are you going to limit yourself with work, but as times change, you'll literally be an old head. Like, y'all don't realize, not y'all, I'm sorry. People don't realize how pivotal Lil Wayne's Rebirth album was. Everybody said it sucks. It's garbage. It birthed XXXTentacion, Trippie Redd. It birthed Playboy Cardi. And anybody who was really like loving music, they was like, this is dope. He tried something different. We appreciated it. Yeah. So when the shift happens, you still stuck in the old ways. But when you're paying attention, you're like, oh, I see the shift. It's natural. I get it. I get where the line is. You know what I'm saying?
And that's one of the unfortunate things. I love my genre, bro. I love hip hop, and I know you obviously love hip hop. But that's one of the things that I do hope changes over time is that the pioneers get crucified, and then the next iteration of them, the next version of them, are the ones that actually bank out on that sacrifice.
So crazy.
So crazy. I think of a Common in Electric Circus.
Oh, perfect example.
Right? Like that opens up opportunities for a Kanye flashing lights. Wow. That opens up because you're thinking about songs that got produced from there. Like folks don't remember Come Close. Come Close. But it's like
with Mary.
But these open up an entirely different palette in a lot of ways too. People laugh at this one, but I'm like, they're not laughing as much as they used to with Little B.
I'm so glad you brought him up. That's a perfect example.
Damn, how much music now sounds like what people used to? They tried to meme my guy, right? And I've had the opportunity to connect with him over the years, and he's funny because he's a viewer of this channel.
That's dope. Shout out to him, man.
I've been a fan. I've been a fan of him doing something that just felt like this is punk rock and hip hop. Without being literally punk rock, his attitude is punk rock.
Exactly
about how he's doing it. But now, so much of the music that you hear were kids that grew up listening to him and watching him on YouTube.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a perfect example. Lil Yachty. I mean, you can list so many, and now it's commonplace. But I'm like, when he was out, I didn't get it at first. But guess what? That's hip hop. I think people forget the definition of hip hop. Bunking the system. If we create a formula and it gets too complacent, somebody got to bunk it. And if you be like, there's new stuff, bro, that's hip hop.
That's it. Because at some point, somebody said it about the music you fell in love with.
Exactly.
Lil Wayne.
Exactly.
What's this auto-tune? What's this mumble rap? Whatever they said, it doesn't matter because I remember Cube said it. Cube said it's not hip hop if it's not going against something.
Thank you.
And I think sometimes the OGs forget like that's going against even the things that you fell in love with as well.
Yeah, it has to.
It has to. That's how hip hop lives, right?
And that's why it's still the number one genre. That's why other genres kind of stagnate and they still like they look in hip hop. What y'all doing? Yeah. Okay, we're gonna do that.
Let's put a little of that in there. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, let's just. Yeah, y'all doing that? I'm finna do that. Yeah, because we're always evolving, but old heads, you just don't like it, and that's why it thrives because we want our own moment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, not me, but like every
No, I
generation
get
wants
it.
their own moment.
I get it. And we see it happen. We look at him like,
Yeah.
we're like, Taylor Swift, what in the double time rapping are you doing right now?
And check it.
Who gave you a Southside flow to rock with?
That's what I'm saying. The South Side.
Who didn't give you that?
Producers and artists already have a head start because there's beats that you make that you're like, ain't nobody finna cop this.
Yeah.
And then give it 5 years and people like that style. And you're like, bro, I was already doing that for fun. I'm telling you, there's beats that my brother got and I got. It's like, yeah, this is just what we like. And it be the sound. Like you just stumble upon it, but you don't put it out because you're like, nobody's feeling it. I guarantee you. There's stuff with no drums. And you be like, how you gonna put no drums? Is it? I just like it. And then all of a sudden, and then look, we on Drake drops Honestly Nevermind, and you're like, boo. Guarantee you, give it a couple of years, it's gonna be the move.
And look,
gonna be the move.
Look how much of the Sonics it does, which it goes to show you, because it's not even just the fans who can't predict the future of it. It's also fellow musicians. It's also artists and producers who, when you're innovating in the moment, people, not everybody sees it as innovative. They see it as different. They see it as trying to be something. They're searching hard for, who do you remind me of? Oh, you're trying to be like this. And it's like, the reason why you can't put it in one box is because it's I'm me. Like, I'm me. Something that I saw recently that kind of opened my eyes up to that wasn't even something from a musician. It was something from a TikToker. She said, stop trying to find a niche and understand that you are the niche. Right?
Hey,
like,
bro.
if you think about that, you think about, like, even what you have trailblazed through, you are going to open up the doors. You already open up the doors for true lyricists to have opportunities. And I'm sure there's companies that, like what are some companies that have reached out to you that you were like, oh, this is for real. Like, the money is good. The money is really, really good. But was there like a client that reached out to you that you're like, oh, this is getting serious?
The first one was Bic, you know, the company of shaving cream. And I was like,
who don't know Bic?
Yeah, I know. And I'm always skeptical when I see messages or emails. And then when they came through and I was like, wow. And they had me signing paperwork, I was like, oh.
Are we for real?
Yeah, okay. So I crossed that threshold. And then when I was on a show on Netflix, like, boy, oh boy, I lost it. I was like, I posted my reaction on Instagram. It's still on there. I was like, because I always be thinking people capping, even if you like set up the payment. But I saw it and I was like, I'm on a show on Netflix. Like, it still blows my mind. Like, I feel like I'm just like everybody else, man. Like, I'm trying to figure this thing out. So when things happening, and it feels like things are beyond me. Like, I don't even know how the interview CNBC. I don't know how to perceive it. Maybe I'll get it in 5 years. But right now I'm just going through. Every day's a job. Every day's work. I'm doing orders. I did orders today. I'm gonna do orders tomorrow, and I just gotta and then in retrospect, that's when I have time to reflect. But right now, I'm just working and doing what I gotta do, just like you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't even know the impact you're doing until later. That's how I feel.
Look at how I reacted to what you told me. Like, it's not so much that I'm surprised that my content reached someone. It's more so that I'm not looking at that as a validating factor of why I get up every day to do this. I know that somebody today is going to hear me for the first time. The same way somebody inquires with you and says, yeah, you got 7,000 reviews that are all positive, but how is our situation going to go? That's how I treat it. I remember Biggie said he got that advice, I think, from Diddy about treat every day like it's your first day. And I think Jay-Z played that clip on the Black album, but I literally live by that, because I'm like, some people look at that as try hard energy. I look at it as how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Facts.
Right? So if somebody's going to hear me for the first time, and it happens to be like as you're doing, like you said, rapping for a podcast. Yeah. You said earlier, I got to kill that.
I have to. Yeah. I can give the bare minimum. What you just said was so heavy, because it doesn't even matter if I'm doing this podcast, CNBC. It doesn't matter. When somebody messages me, I can't even say, do you know I've been on Netflix? Do you know who you're I can't even do that. I got to be like, all right, let's go. I got to treat it like this person. It doesn't even matter, because none of that matters. Like, they never talk to me. So, yeah, I never pull that card. That's why I got to stay humble. Like, bro, I understand you don't know me. All that, and then when you see all those reviews, a lot of people think it's cap. It's like, well, there's got to be some kind of funny business going on. But now I make sure that if I can do it, let's do it. And then I make sure I deliver, keep it going. Like, it's not cap. It's just why can't it not be capped? It's just me. I just love what I'm doing. I put
Yeah.
so many years into it, and I'll say I'm not putting get my foot off this. My foot is on the neck of this thing, man.
As it
I'm
should
not
be.
losing. You know what I'm saying? I am winning this thing.
What-
I can't stress how much, trials and tribulations I've been through. I said I'm not losing. So you
Yeah.
can call it cap. I don't care. I'm excited to be here and make this happen, bro.
Man, what's not cap is the inbox filling up the way that it is, because
Man.
there's no way that I don't care how much somebody you can accuse of, oh, you're fluctuating this. They don't keep showing up. At some point, like there's a stat. I read this in a book called Failing Forward by who was that by? John C. Maxwell. And he talks about the steps of genius. And he says that when you first start off doing something, people call you dumb for even trying it. You're gonna be a Fiverr rapper. What the hell does that even sound like?
Yeah.
Some people call you dumb.
Yeah.
Next step is that you actually are dumb, because you're gonna make mistakes. You're ignorant to the fact, and things are gonna happen, but you're gonna learn from those. The next step after that is that people won't necessarily give you a high title, but they'll say, you know what? He's hardworking. He's been doing it long enough. And this is just the process that everything goes through. Next step after that, after they say, okay, he's hardworking, then they say, well, you know what? I would probably tell you to go talk to him because he's knowledgeable. And then after knowledgeable, all you've done is continue to evolve and grow in your craft, and they call you genius. So, and when you really look at it, you look up and recognize that so much time has passed by, but it wasn't never about the time passing by. It was about living in these moments, being the best in these moments, and those inevitably kind of creating a legacy that, you have some control over. But then at the same time, if nobody comes through to make these orders, what is it? So, what do you? Go ahead. You want to?
No, it's a scary thing. You always like, go ahead. I want you to ask your question though.
No. But what I was going to get to is, what is kind of the thing? What are the things that you have to do on a daily basis to ensure that you have the energy, the balance, the harmony within, to show up and be your best version every day? Because I mean, like even today, I told you, today I had crazy neck pains after I went to the chiropractor. I think they didn't activated muscles I didn't even want to be activated. Now I'm in pain, but I know I knew I had to get up. I was like, I got to get up by 3:00, get ready for this meeting, and we're going to have this conversation. And I show up. What is it that you do on a daily basis, or what is it that's going on through your mind that is helping you to show up and be the best version of yourself? When it's not like it's not like the job situation. Like nobody can fire you. You're your own boss. So what is it that goes into that?
There's a lot of factors that get that fire up under me. One, on Fiverr, when you put in an order, there's a clock that counts backwards. So there's a due date for everything I do. So, I like that. Pressure actually makes me get creative. So you would think, like, you got 10 songs, like, okay, what's the first line? No, I ain't got time. Whatever I'm feeling, I write it, record it, and it ends up being, they like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of how I operate. It's crazy. It's not a pompous thing for me to say, but I need that fire to like get it going. Deadline. If I didn't have deadlines, I'd take forever to do one song.
I get it.
I have deadlines. So, and then the opportunity to make money and support my family so they don't have to worry about stuff. That's the biggest, you know what I'm saying? Like, but my day, if I can say the things that I do to take care of myself, I usually get up 5 a.m., go to the gym. I even have a massage thing that I take. I got it from my mom for a birthday. She didn't even use it, and I end up having it. So now I go once every month. I was like, dang, this is kind of dope, taking care of yourself. And
you just wish you don't wait. So you have to wait so many years. Because I for sure wasn't taking care of my 20-year-old body. I was like, oh, man. I sent that thing through the ringer.
I feel you. I'm eating Skittles at 10 in the morning. I used to in my 20s. I didn't care. And,
caffeine sensitivity. Like what?
Don't care. And I also took up intermittent fasting, which has been changing my life. And
that's huge.
There's been a lot of things that I just been taking care of, like making sure I'm centered, making sure I'm physically good. And then I have a little schedule thing, and I see what's due. Get to it. I try not to, I don't like to talk too much in the orders. Like once we get it going, I don't be like, what do you think about this line? You got one time for first impression.
Yeah.
And so if my first impression, I don't want it to be lyrics and then have you look at it, be like, I wonder how this is going to sound. Maybe you change it. No, hear it. Because if I say, getting money. Yeah. If you see that on lyrics, you'd be like, I don't know. So you got to hear it. So I never like to send pieces. I always just, and then, you know, it's a whole different impact. It's a whole different impact. But I'm kind of going off on a tangent. But yeah, the most important thing is making sure that I'm physically good. Because if I'm physically not good, and, you know, that's so important.
Gonna matter. Yeah.
There's nothing that's not going to matter. I'm be angry. You know what I'm saying? I'm be mad, and the food you eat affects your mood and affects your actions. So I had to understand that. I didn't get it. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, as you get older, you can pay attention more.
Man, and it almost leaves you no choice to do it because, like you said, you're a dad, you're a husband, and there's folks that are counting on you. It's a lot different when you out here in these streets and you're grinding for a dream and you're grinding for your own goals. But then when you recognize that there's a little one that not only needs your attention, but is relying on you being your best in these scenarios so that you can provide and do the things that you do. How has fatherhood kind of affected everything that you were already doing? Like, how has that impacted your grind? How has that impacted kind of your mindset? Even, you know, my favorite superpower from being a dad is my ability to say no. I ain't never had my ability has never been like my no meter has never been this strong. My no muscle, it's very strong. It's strong. It's strong. SKRONG. It's strong. But
man,
how has fatherhood kind of impacted your career?
It's just more weight on my decisions because prior to him, 2019, before he was even here, you know, it was all about being the hardest, you know, being the coldest, and my drive was make money, but my aspirations were just different. So with him, it's like I want to make sure he's good. It's just more weight on every decision that I make, and then I got to go harder to make sure he's really, really good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's huge. That's huge. Yeah, and I think a lot of folks don't recognize that extra battery that it puts into your back until they're actually in that situation. Because there's things that I can't explain to someone who's not a father or not a parent yet, that I'm like, when you see the months ticking down, and even the necessity and the extra part of you as a man that kicks in, that we already are protective by nature many times, right? But when you have your wife that needs you, when you are there taking, and it's almost like I am officially the person that gets called in this house anytime there's something nasty or sick to deal with. Some diapers, anything. Like, I'm the one with the strong stomach, and I'm like, when did I get elected to this? Oh, because I was the one that showed up. But it just makes you a whole different man, a different human being. But it's the ultimate cheat code, because you know, them days where you could, like you said, just lay around and I'll get back at it tomorrow. No. My self-care now is the most valuable thing that I can do, because who I must be when I'm not working with my young one. So it's the battery pack. You nailed it. Everything you said is true. And when dealing with clients, I got to be like, yes, no, I'm not doing that. Or I'm very clear cut, and I know when to raise my price. I'm like, I got stuff going on the line, man. Like, I'm so grateful for that. But it is the ultimate cheat code, because before, trying to appease, I don't know, hip hop, being afraid of being called mid or like corny. Yeah.
That may be something that was a factor. But after having a kid, I said, bro, I'm paying my bills. I don't care.
That part.
I don't care. Like, all that stuff. The fact that people were saying Roddy Ricch fell off after like a year, I'm like, this man sold millions. I don't even know why hip hop keeps saying people fell off after like 5 months. Like, that conversation is so crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, in reality, in his real life, there's no falling off. Like, he's a success in his family, so there's no such thing as falling off. But we in hip hop, we look at the business. I get it, but I'm like, I don't care about if I'm falling off. I'm paying my bills. That's it at the end. You know what I'm saying?
See, and I'm glad you said that, because to one thing I think that gets lost upon a lot of folks who either say somebody's falling off, or they believe in it because somebody else said it. It's never coming from someone who's actually doing the thing. It's always somebody who's on the outside as a fan, somebody from the stands that's like, your jump shot is broken. You can't shoot anymore. And then you think about it for a second, and you're like, you're talking to a professional who is going through things, that is experiencing things that you've never experienced, not even one time. So who are you as the proper judgment of what falling off even is? If anybody is going to be able to, if anybody's going to be able to diagnose falling off, it's not, once again, it's not going to be the foot doctor. I know falling is involved when you with your feet, but that is a stretch. That is a stretch. It is not going to be the person that is actually doing the thing. But I think in this new social media world, some folks are able to curve narratives that make no sense. Even the idea of us still equating record sales to whether or not somebody falls off in a streaming world. First week sales. Why are we still talking about first week sales when even the layout of these streaming companies don't even promote the selling first? They promote the pre-save before the selling. So it's a lot of that stuff within hip hop, man. That I'm glad you said that, because it's metrics that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
And what would falling off look like? I think that's another reason why I love being independent. What does falling off really even mean as an independent when you've got your hand in so many different things?
It doesn't. It does no sense. One of my favorite moments that happened was in 2020, and it's probably something that you do all the time when you make content, hire people. I hired my brother to make the beat for my song called On Point. Mm-hmm. I paid a videographer who also from Houston, who's all of us are black, you know what I'm saying? I hired a rapper to feature on it who's a local artist. And not that it matters about color, but I think it was at a time during George Floyd where I was like, this is a beautiful moment. I was like, I'm able to put money in these dudes' pockets off of something. And it's money that I made from Fiverr, and I'm financing what I want to do. It may be it may be very small to many when you do it, but it's so big when you really focus on that. Like, you gave these people a job in a sense.
Yes.
And so I'm just like, bro, let's not, like, if you ever made money from something you're doing and you paid other people, and they don't have to just be black, but I'm just think that's so dope. Like, you're an employer.
Like, whatever you define as your people, no matter what race you are, whatever you define as your people, your squad, your family, there is no greater feeling. There is no greater feeling than when you cutting that check or you sending those PayPals. Yes. I had it with a sound design company that I ran with my bros for a few years called Slap Experts. And during the pandemic, knowing that we were generating a consistent income that allowed me to every first of the month sit to these numbers and just be like, this is what you getting, this is what you getting, this is what you getting, this because of our collective energy. And we didn't have to wait on somebody who was a label head or somebody who was a manager or somebody else who was kind of like, no, I think these are the proper splits and this is how we're going to do it. It was us, and it was on us, which was a lot of responsibility, but man, it was such a beautiful moment because it was like we're helping one another. The synergy is paying for all of our bills right now.
It's something that I don't hear. I mean, I'm sure it gets talked about. I don't hear it enough. Like, being able to put money in people's pocket that you love, that is helping you to dream. And I still pay my brother for beats. I don't ever just be like, give me a beat, and you see me rapping on it. I always pay him.
Really?
Yeah. I pay him to this day. Every beat, I pay him out my own pocket, and I give him a percentage. I said, you ain't never getting screwed. You're valuable.
Yeah.
Just because we family, like, this is a business. This, you know what I'm saying? So if he's hearing, I ain't capping, you can chime in and say, he don't pay me nothing. No, I always pay him. I always pay him because I value him as a creative, and I'm like, don't ever get comfortable when it's your people, whatever that means, and just don't pay them, and you can pay. You pay your people,
folks. There was I forget my guy's name, Brad Lee. He had this entrepreneur. He had this thing that was going viral where he was talking about basically, don't go to your friends looking for the hookup. Like, don't go to your friend's business and expect a discount because it's your friend's business. It's like, if anything, if you're in a position to do it, you should want to pay more.
Correct.
Because you know where that money is going and who it's directly affecting and the family of who that's directly affecting. But it seems like, especially when it's something that's like a small business, or it's something that people don't necessarily put in the same conversation as the big leagues, they feel like they can finesse it more, and it's kind of like they feel almost entitled to it.
Correct.
But it's super dope when you hear that, because I tell you, the folks that are still around to this day in the beginning of my career are the people who had that same mentality back then. If they weren't paying me, it was like, I don't got no money to pay you right now. I'll be honest with you, but I can do whatever you need me to do.
Correct.
So that you can get closer to financing this or whatever. We can generate income together. And it made sense, but for the most part, those who had it, just as valuable, right? Yeah,
that's just as valuable. Because like I said, quid pro quo, all of that stuff is just as valuable. But you always want to be an asset, and I value my brother, I value everybody I work with, man. And those fundamentals, they just last. You know what I'm saying? So, man, it's so dope to see that, man.
Okay.
So the greatest reward you could say is getting paid from Fiverr, but no, it's like being able to be an employer for people. Paying people, put money in people's hand,
man.
It ain't no greater feeling.
You got big in your emails, and you're like, you can get on the phone with your brother, like, okay, this is what I need. Hey, you still got contact with so and so? Okay, cool.
Right.
You're pulling together your own plays. I feel like that's. I wish the younger me could have saw this with more pride and more freedom, and I feel like I would have been here a lot sooner. It took me a while to kind of like get out of the hypnosis of everybody's heading this direction. This is the only place. If you're not on MTV, BET, whatever the case may be, then in the eyes of your family or your peers, you're not a success story. I wish I could have saw this, but everything it happens for a reason.
Yeah.
I got a few questions here from the community. You got a little time for some of these questions?
Oh, I got buku time, baby. Let's go.
All right, since we were just talking about the payment, I want to start with this one.
Yeah.
How does the payment work for a Fiverr?
Yeah.
Like, how does that process work?
Let's say you have a gig, right? And you say, I don't know, $60 for 8 bars. They'll put the order in, and the money that they pay, it's like in a limbo. So you can't touch it until you deliver. And then they mark it complete on their end, and then it's like a waiting period.
Okay.
It could be 2 weeks or 1 week, however, depending on your level, and then you can either deposit it to your bank account or whatever, and then it's actually physically there. So yeah, you actually don't see the money until they mark it complete. So you can't be thinking, oh, they paid me, I'm gonna chill. No, you got to do the work, and then they got to say, I approve the work. You know what I'm saying?
You get your
yeah. So so they, even though it comes out of their account automatically whenever they put the order in, you don't see it. You don't see it. So yeah.
Were there? This is kind of a follow up question on my end. Were there any kind of restrictions that you had to put in early on to stop people from going revision crazy?
Yeah, man. I think I put in there like limited to revisions, or I try to stress like, hit me up if any questions. Or after a while, because I didn't want to get a bunch of cancellations, I had to say, hey, I don't think I'm the right artist for this. Like I do self-deprivation because I'm like, this is ridiculous. And then all of a sudden they get a clarity like, oh, actually, if you just change this, we're good. I said, now you see what you want. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's funny how that no word can give people clarity they never had before.
Yeah, actually, if you change this, we're good. I said, all right now. Yeah, you could have said this.
Yeah, they're not used to people saying no to money. They're like, wait a minute, my money is not gonna make you do anything I say?
That's a great point. That's what you said. When you say no to money, they get clarity. You know what I'm saying? But also you gotta be wary. You might have done so much work and you don't want to feel like you exhausted yourself. So it's just a balance. It's a balance. Like I had to learn. Everybody, you get to learn your own. And that's why I'm just like thankful to share this, because if y'all inquisitive about it, try it out, man. Like I can't stress enough. Like there's so much money on there, and it's not just me. Like there's people that found that saw me early on. I have a friend I went to high school with, and I almost broke down in tears, man, because I saw his picture on there as a gig, and I was like, that look like my boy Darren. And then I messaged him. I said, you look like my friend Darren from high school. And he said, yeah, Mike, is me. And I was like, you on Fiverr? He said, are you full time? He said, yeah, bro, I saw you about a year ago.
Wow.
And so I took it, and I was like,
out here inspiring the world, man. Come on now.
So then I tried to hire him for a verse. I was like, I'm paying you, bro. Like you get an order and you said, you ain't paying me a dime, bro. I'm just doing it. I said, please let me order. He said, nope. And so that's my dog. Salute to Slim Calhoun, bro. And I saw another person that said they saw me on there and they took it. And I'm like, my story is not just my story. The probably the reason why people relate, because there's things that they see in their own life. And if you're on Fiverr, you know I'm not capping. Like, you can make a serious career on there, but don't take my word for it.
Yeah,
try it.
Who are evidence to that, and that's something that we talked about offline. Is that another reason why I wanted to bring you on here is because I think that a lot of people, when they're searching for the success story of what it looks like in music, they go to what everybody knows about, right? They go to the household stories, not recognizing that there are stories that are so accessible, even though you're still in a very small percentage of folks who have that amount of success. There are people who don't even need that amount for them to make a comfortable living based upon their means. They don't have a family. It's just them. They are looking to just get a 1-bedroom apartment or whatever the case may be. And even getting a fraction of what you're doing could be life-changing for someone. And to know this is as accessible as signing up, as doing your homework, as obviously putting in your hours and your time into your craft and into the business.
Yes.
When you hear stories like this, it makes the DIYer experience feel so much more real and tangible. So I had to bring you on here specifically for that, man, because you're to me, you're one of the DIYer superheroes in this, bro. Like, people see you and say, I can do this. I can do this. Yeah. Because I've been in situations where he was that led up to where he was at.
Yeah. If you're watching, you can do this. I'm not capping. I'm not pushing the websites I don't get nothing from that. I'm really stressing, like, there's so many different definitions of success. Yeah. Just don't take it for granted, because it's a wave. Like, the thing I'm doing now is a not forever thing. I don't think that how it is set up now will be how it'll look in a couple of years. So, and if you did YouTube 10 years ago, you would be ahead of whatever the wave had. Like, moments happen. So don't be sitting on the sideline and be like, I ought to try that one day, and then it's gone.
And it's gone.
You know what I'm saying? We're on to something else. You know what I'm saying? So take advantage of whatever you see and try it and stick to it and see it through.
Evolve or dissolve is my favorite saying with that.
That's real. I like that.
So Avedon, the reason for the season. Come on now, let me. Come on now, Avedon is asked the question. He said, "You mentioned earlier focusing more on Fiverr."
Yeah.
Excuse me. He says, "You mentioned earlier focusing more on Fiverr more than YouTube. Do you ever see yourself going into YouTube in the future?"
Big time.
Okay, yeah. Do you want to answer that?
Oh, you can finish the question.
That was it. He was just saying bypass if you've already touched on this, but I think that we could definitely probably zero in more on this. Do you ever consider jumping more into YouTube?
I wanted to do YouTube a long time ago, because I just love people. I like watching people talk on YouTube, sharing their stories, and it runs the gamut. Like, I watch some random girl talking about her life doing makeup, and it just be something interesting. And then I see brothers talking about their life. I just love people, and being a hermit, working from home since 2016, like interacting with people has mainly been online, even before 2020. So I have a lot of stories. I have a lot of footage that I've been filming about my life, travel experiences, thoughts, books I read. There's so much that I want to share, but I would be sharing it on my Instagram story, and I feel like it's not the platform. They'd be like, okay, this ain't that interesting.
Right.
So I almost find myself kind of lost into where I go, but then I do a rap for somebody and it get 1 million views, and they're like, "Oh, who is this dude?" I'm like, "Hi, it's me. I'm kind of boring. I don't know." So I think I've been trying to segue to figure out, like, how do I present something that's interesting. But YouTube has changed. Like, me, doing a daily vlog may not be the way, but there's other things I want to do. But I'm already thinking not just rapping on my YouTube, like sharing more stuff. There's a lot of things I think would be dope things to share.
Look, I'm gonna tell you like this, and I said it offline, because what y'all didn't know was we started doing some homework, and me and his brother might actually be related. After I started digging into his last name, like, not even no joke, we might even be related. We started figuring it out. I started throwing around names. He started throwing around names. We gonna find out. I'm gonna talk to my mama and I'm gonna see. But
please do.
With that said, though, you already have had my support because of what you represent from an independent space, and anything that I can be of resource. I'm saying this here for a reason. With everybody here, anything that I can do to be of a resource, I'll make sure you got my information after. There is so much value that someone like you, who is actively doing it, a practitioner who is seeing it, that and it's not just Fiverr. right? There are artists right now who are watching a recession on the way. They're watching inflation going crazy. They're watching even the value of a US dollar going down, and they're knowing it's some really interesting times coming up. And so they're trying to figure out, well, how am I going to make money off of my art? And then don't even equate the effects of a pandemic and what that does to you when you realize that something could actually happen in history where it stops me from being able to even go to my job, my gig. I got to figure something out. So I think there's so many things that you do that has become norm that I'm sure with a few conversations, man, we would put our brains together. I would love to. I already got things in my brain I'm thinking of, but absolutely.
Yes, I agree. I'm grateful for that. You extending that to me, and yeah, man. I ain't stopping. I'm literally gonna be here forever doing everything. Once the AI be popping up, I'm be
come on, man,
on my shoulder like let's do this, bro. How we gonna write this song? AI robot. You know what I'm saying?
I'm glad you said that because I wanted to. I know sometimes my audience gets tired of all these AI questions. I don't care. We're gonna be talking about AI until Allen Iverson here. But
AI.
Do you ever find yourself concerned? Because this was something I was thinking of when I was creating my voiceover page, was that obviously they've been very aggressive with the developments in AI when it comes to voice cloning, when it comes to recreating and training these computers to have these voices. Obviously, there's going to always be a necessity for human involvement, no matter what. It's to the benefit of this stuff. But were you ever kind of concerned about, I guess, the attitudes of your consumers or your customers changing because of the accessibility to these tools and to be able to type in, I guess, whatever lyrics that they want along the way? Has that crossed your mind as of recently at all?
I'm not gonna make it too long, but I love this conversation. I'm more optimistic. Maybe you call me a fool, but I've already got orders where they had a chat, and I understand it's gonna get better, but the AI lyrics are just really, really bad. They're really bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they don't put in the pauses where the rhythm's supposed to be. So I don't care how dope AI is gonna get. It's gonna be just like the freaking to me, and it's a prediction. I ain't no Miss Cleo. I don't know, but I'm optimistic because I feel like it's gonna be like the drum machine. All the drummers in the 80s, like, well, they got a freaking drum machine. Oh, I'm gonna be out of work. No, it's just another tool. Oh, they got freaking auto tune. Now everybody gonna sing. Nah, it's just another tool. Oh, they got freaking robot. We out of work. Nope, it's a tool. Like the person that figures it out and gets funky with it, they gonna be the ones that thrive. And then they gonna be like, you got a freaking robot. They said that about T-Pain. They said you ain't no real singer. And then he's a GOAT. You know what I'm saying? You got a freaking robot. You ain't no. So whatever it's doing, I'm gonna be right there figuring it out, playing with it, and I'm gonna master it. And I'm not afraid of it because, we don't know where it's headed. We know that it's a little janky right now. It's like I heard some of them do it, and then the voice gets like off. It gets all robotic.
Digital artifacts and all of that stuff.
Digital artifacts.
It's still behind, but I think you nailed it on the head. We saw a stat the other day that said, for the first time since 1987, vinyl has surpassed the sale of CDs. And the reason I bring that up is because I think about something that is a very nostalgic, a relic of the past, right? Something that most folks are not. I got to go out and get my vinyl. They're not saying that like it's Starbucks. It's something that when you have that in your house, it's a novelty item. It's an item that maybe even be like a piece of art. But when you see the way human beings go about doing that and the unpredictable nature or the reasons why the human beings do that, there's so much about this that AI is going to always be behind on.
Correct.
I think it'll absolutely close the gap more and more. But there's certain illogical things that we do that doesn't make any sense in a world where you got all of these different ways to listen to music on Bluetooth. Why in the hell would somebody want to go to vinyl? Well, they're not they're not thinking about the people who get the vinyl to do like I do. I put them up on the walls, right? Or the person that wants to just have a moment of physical music listening.
Yeah.
So I think the same thing with AI is that consumers are like kids, man. I hate to say this because I respect anybody who purchases anything from me, but consumers are like kids in that, and I'm the same way. I get my new shiny thing, and then when it ain't so shiny no more, I spend a little less time with it. And I feel like AI right now is just like everybody's excited. I'm excited about it. But at some point, it's going to be so many options like the streaming services.
Yeah.
You don't just kind of stick with the ones that you actually really enjoy and maximize upon those. But no matter what, human beings, the only thing that will never change is that human beings will forever change.
Facts. And we love humans. I was looking at I'm gonna give you a quick analogy. I have a drone and I was flying my drone around and I was realizing this footage is boring. I'm just looking at stuff. If you look at movie covers, 99% of them have humans. It's not landscape. It's not like abstract thing. It's humans. We like looking at human faces. So no matter how AI dope it gets, we are drawn to humans. And I think the next generation, alpha or whatever, if we're all into AI, they're gonna be like, I want bluegrass. I want something that's not even on record. Like you got to go see it and you got to go see it and perform it. And then they're like, wait, but you can have everything you want. It's yeah, but I don't want that. I want something totally anti. The anti generation is gonna just I don't want that, and I love it. And that's why
we're never happy. We're never happy. It's gonna be the kids that are like, you ever just thought about life, what it would be like without VR? You know, like the olden days. Like I could just see that. We're never happy. We're never happy, and I think that's part of the reason why you shouldn't be concerned, because we're never happy. We will always find a way to have an existential crisis where we're like, yeah, I just want to kind of get back to the old days when, you know, things were just like more physical and you could see people, and there's going to be that tribe that always does that.
And grandma be like, what you talking about? Get your headset back on. Yeah. Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
I'm ready for it. And yeah, the weirdos that been still practicing instruments, and they're like, why you need to do that? Just click a button. It'll make what you want. They just like, I just love it. And all of a sudden they're in now. They're getting work. So yeah, don't be afraid of change, embrace it and see what they're doing, but still be true to you. You don't have to follow every trend. Just keep up.
That part. So Scheme TV show asks the question, does publishing come into play? Does royalties come into play for the line of work that you do with Fiverr?
Primarily, no. And so what I do is a lot of it's work for hire. A lot of it's personal projects. So you would think that I'm rapping and then they putting it out, but some of it is just for them to play at their house, their birthdays. Sometimes it's like on YouTube or this and that. Now I have been on projects, a lot of projects where I, set it up, publishing and all that. But the bulk of the work is work for hire. And then I know a lot of people are like, yeah, but I want my riches. You know what I'm saying? And I get that. Your business model is yours, but I felt like I wanted to have it where it's a clean cut. You know what I'm saying? And I was okay with taking that because I was like, I need to be the spot where they're not getting bogged down with too much business. They're like, look, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Now things are different and I've evolved business wise, but I said, this is what I want to do. And it's scary when you take business moves, when you know in your head, you got people that have told you, no, don't do that. You got to sign that copyright, this, that. And, I had to make my own choice. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I actually learned that from Greg Fillinganes, the legendary pianist. He said he took a lesser cut. He took no cut from doing a bridge from Michael Jackson. And he was talking to the crowd and he's like, I know, y'all better businesses than me, but that's just what I decided. And I was able to continue working with him afterwards. And so everybody's business choice is theirs. And it's not, for anyone to like, this is what you should do. That's what I did. And, I'm grateful for that decision. You know what I'm saying?
And we salute you for making that decision. That's not an easy one to make in a society that is still trying to understand, even with the obvious evidence, the proof of concept, with the cosigns, with the major platforms reaching out to you to want to hear your story. There's still going to be people out here who are like, I just can't see myself. And that's an unfortunate part of life. I've noticed it. No matter how much I have proven myself, there are some people who are still going to demand that I prove it this time.
Yeah,
I watch basketball. My favorite sport is basketball, and I watch my Lakers, and I still see the Dylan Brooks of the world who are like, nah, he got to show me.
Wow.
After 20 years of being, if not the greatest, always in the conversation for the greatest for 20 years, and he still got to show you something on year 20. It just goes to show you that either people do that. Childish Gambino has this theory that when you're that great, especially when you're that great at multiple things, people need to create some kind of event for you to be real to them. are for you to make sense to them. So for instance, they'll say Prince, you said earlier, Prince has you know, he can play 18 instruments. He can do all these things. He can do movie roles. He can script and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But he's short.
Yeah, exactly. They need something.
They need an event. But now what he was saying, Childish was saying, is that we're living in a time now where it's more normal for someone like yourself or like myself to wear these hats because now it's easier to do it. He said, I bet you Elvis would have been a much better actor if music didn't take as long as it did to create.
Wow. That's so true.
Like we were talking about this the other day. Imagine if Tupac had AI.
Oh man.
Chat GPT, like what would, you know what I'm saying? Like just the things that you would think a brain like that would do with that. Right. We're just living in a special time where we can now the old term of jack of all trades, master of none, used to apply to people trying to go without having a team. Now you can literally utilize these AI tools to be segments of your team for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've heard somebody bestowed that phrase on me one time, and I was like, I could be offended, but I was like, whatever, man. You'll say like jack of all trades, master of none. It's you can literally educate yourself on so many things, and if you do it nowadays, people wear more hats than they even realize, man. Yeah. Like if you have a family and you go to work, that's 2 hats at least, probably 3. Yeah. So if you have a skill that you do, it's just so many things you're juggling. You got to give yourself a pat on the back, even if you're not monetarily compensated. Like what you're doing is like all your ancestors, no matter your race or whatever, they be blown away that you even surviving. Because there's a lot of things we're juggling and a lot of things that can deter you and distract you. But if you have any kind of skill, that means you focus on something long enough to be good at it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
You know what's ironic about that jack of all trades, master of none is that people who echo that, I guarantee you look at their dashboard on their TV, they got more than one subscription service.
What? That's a good...
And I know it's so random, but my brain starts to make connections that your actions don't add up with what your actions don't add up with your expectations upon your entertainment in one space.
Thank you.
Why do you put that on my space as if I'm only allowed to have one passion?
That don't make no sense.
And it's so ridiculous, bro. Like even when you talk about, because we didn't even talk about that, we could absolutely, set up another time to have another conversation. I really enjoyed this with you, but
I love it.
I developed a passion for videography that I didn't. It was always on my shoulder, but I was like, I'm only doing this because I can't afford a video director or editor. I got to do it myself. But I started recognizing it last year when I was doing more cinematic pieces. Like, nah, dog, I really love storytelling. I really love getting, turning that vlog into like color that just pops and feels real from where you're at.
Yeah, reading.
Oh my God. Carbon Vibes, before I get to the next question, said, I guess the full statement is a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one.
Oh,
that is the extension.
Phrase?
I've never heard the whole phrase. Shout out to Carbon Vibes. I've never heard the whole phrase. Thank you for saying that.
See, the haters cut it off.
The haters cut it off.
The haters cut it off. Jack of all trades, master of none. Oh, is there anything else? Nah, that's it.
Ain't that just like them? Ain't that just like them? Ain't that just like them?
Thank you. Shout out
Carbon Vibes. Yeah.
Carbon Vibes, man. I never knew that. That's so crazy.
But that makes a lot of sense because people, people they do it to the Bible all the time. People that talk about, the root. What is it? They
rule of all evil.
Not even just that. Asking you shall receive, and there's so many different ways that we can take something like that. In that we come to learn that you could also ask a dumb question and receive the results of asking that dumb question, or you can ask wisely and then receive the results of that. Same thing with money is the root of all evil. I had a marketing teacher, and this, I don't want to get too much into this because some folks can say you're editing the Bible, but it gives you different perspective since we all take it a different way. Anyways, is that he said money is the root of all evil, and he's like, I'll add to that is that it's the magnifying glass of who we truly are.
Facts, exactly.
But some people will take that one part of it and be like, "Yep, I'm gonna tell you to not do that, so that I can have a vent for you. You need a vent. You're doing too well at these things."
You nailed it on all of those. I agree.
All right, so I got another question here from J Flow Pro specifically for Fiverr. Do you think that Fiverr would be a good place to expand on making custom beats for content creators, or do you think places like Epidemic Sound or Artlist overshadow that? So I guess he's more talking about the sync library websites versus using Fiverr for that.
I'm gonna be honest from my own personal experience, because I had my brothers on there and it just didn't work out. I think Fiverr's not the best place for that, because again, people can get they almost don't even realize what you just sent them. It's like, no, I put all these drums. Say, the beat doesn't, and then you be revising something that'll suck the life out of it. So I personally feel like having the other platforms is better, because again, you'll revise something and a lot of times they're not even cognizant of the fact they didn't know what they just heard. And then like the beat doesn't knock hard enough. They listen to it on the laptop. It's like you need to listen to it on the car. And it can get very frustrating for a producer. I saw it with my brother and I was like, this is probably not the best way to do it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe, and for those who've had success, it's dope. And the reason why I would never sell my beats on there, and I either have a catalog that I made or like I'll make something, if it's something simple, I'll be like, this is what it is because I can write a rap and record it faster than I can make a beat. You know what I'm saying? I can do that at lightning speed.
That's interesting.
So if I can do that with beats, I probably wouldn't mind it. But rapping I literally was half asleep one time and was knocking it out. And I woke up, I was like, bro, how did I do that? Because it's literally something that I've been doing for so long that it's a subconscious thing. It's no thought.
I'm not even gonna hold you, fam. Like that, I feel the same way, and which is another reason why I don't like doing sync. I haven't enjoyed doing sync opportunities with companies, because although the payout is beautiful, the person that I'm usually talking to don't know a damn thing about music. And the things that they request, or they're trying to relay from the people who make the final decisions, they don't understand that this one thing that's easy to type is not necessarily it's easy to type and understand. It's not simple to execute within the next hour or 15 minutes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Or they're giving you language that's like, have you ever heard of an instrument? We're kind of hoping for something that's like woodwindsy, like, I don't know, like an 808. What are we talking about right now?
Yeah, like, hold up. Give me an example. And then it's like, I don't know, a Celine Dion song. Yeah. I said, what? What
do we, no, what you said earlier, you said somebody would come to you and say, we want something more gangster. I'd never forget, I did a video game placement one time, and they said, we want something that feels a little bit more gangster, Curtis. And I said, can you give me an example of what gangster would be? And they pulled up like B.O.B. and featuring Lil Wayne, and I was like, I don't want to
shout out to B.O.B.
Shout out, not even saying there's nothing bad about him, but I'm like, you chose a pop song at that. I was like, so you want it? So you just want minor chords? You want it to be darker,
right?
Okay.
Right.
Okay, that's
okay. Yeah, that's a lot of what I have to do. I have to shift through what they're trying to say, and then and then there's a lot of problems with the language, which they can say. I've had sometimes they say they want something more ghetto, and I immediately say, "Oh hell, I don't know." I say I don't know what that is, so I said maybe somebody else can help you. I get almost. That's the one time I get offended. Yeah, and I should be like maybe, but I was like, no, it's 2023, bro. Like you know what that means.
You know exactly what you're getting at.
Yeah. So whenever I see that, I said, I say I don't know what that means, and then I say maybe somebody else can help you out. I turn it down immediately. It's only happened like twice, but I'll be like, come on, y'all.
Well, then you start to see people have. I don't know. I know that's a very touchy subject, but you start to see that people have within them hidden biases when it comes to our genre.
Yes, they it's
have
true.
Stereotypical views about what it means to get a rap from somebody.
Yeah,
and when they come to you, they come with all that baggage, and they're just throwing all these terms on you. Yeah, and it's like, I don't think you recognize how I'm not easily offended. Right. But you don't understand that this can be seen as very offensive. Right. Told to the wrong person. And because I see that you're operating like that, this is not in the best interest, because we just going to end up clashing on something else.
Yeah. Yeah. You see it in the beginning. Yeah. I'm a business. It's kind of crazy. You see me, I'm rapping. Hey, I'm a rapper. Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. And they say, yo, bro, what's up, dog? I need a hot beat rap. And I say, hello, sir. How you doing? Or I don't even say pronouns. I say, hello. Thank you so much for hitting me up. Right. I was like, bruh, I'm a person. Like, come on, man. Like, but I get it. I don't know. I've never met you. How are you so cordial? You know what I'm saying? Like,
do you do that with your animators too? Like, I'm saying, like, I asked that question. Do you do that when you reach out to these animators? Do you say the same thing?
Thank you.
But even I'll tell you, it's we'll figure it out in our generation. But it's interesting that I've noticed that there are barriers when you go overseas sometimes and you conduct business. And I had an animator. He made a beautiful animation of me. It was supposed to be for like a 24-hour radio station that I was going to do on YouTube. One of those like chill cow situations. And the first version of me he made, he got the skin tone pretty close. I was like, that's pretty good. But he gave me like this Klay Thompson nose that just did. I was just like, is there a reason that you making like, did you like go in your like extra black, you know what I'm saying? Like, what were where were you pulling from your tools from? And I was like, no, it wasn't even that. It was the fact that it wasn't black. It was the fact that it was like you can tell it was the bone structure of like a white male. And I was like, I was like, these things matter to everyone because it's representation of who you are. You wouldn't run around with somebody else's last name because it's not who you are. It's not your representation. Correct. And I feel like that sometimes is something that happens where when you're lost in translation, I'm sure you get customers who come to you and their only interaction with somebody that happens to be black is online.
Yeah. All the time.
And get that
all the time. And I'm grateful because most of them are very like, they're kind of like, I don't know. And I'm like, I tell them, so it's cool. It's cool because I like dealing with people all over the world and then they end up learning something. And I learn something about them. It's very rare where we clash and they're just so steadfast on me being this archetype of black or rapper.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen that often, but I quickly shut it down. Like you can't throw money in my face for nothing. Like, and also if I can just say, and I know we're talking on real things. Anytime there's a big situation where there's like an event that happens and they want me to be the black face for them to talk about their solidarity, I'll be like, nah, I'm not interested.
Really?
Because this is like, I've done it and this is a moment that's real and what you're doing is monetizing it and bring it more about you. And it just feels icky. It's just like, I don't want this on me. You can't pay me enough because y'all don't realize y'all business model is to like say, hey, we tight, but people can sniff out when this is an ad, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so if I say it, if it's something that I feel like I'm gonna say it, but that's just with certain topics, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I don't know. I had to learn that, especially during this George Floyd thing. I turned down so many things. I said, no, this is not the time to promote your little business, man. Like you say it, you say something. Don't have me the face of it. Like I know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not finna do that.
See, and I think I've talked about this when it came to collaboration and that I really got to build with somebody before I collaborate with them because I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what you own. I don't know what you do Monday through Friday. And here I am co-signing a verse and I get on the verse with you and I get on there and you talking down to a certain group of people and then I get pulled into the mix of that. It's you got to really, and I know you can't know everything about one person, but you can spend time with them where you start to get your instinct kicking in. Like, I don't know if this is a solid situation for me to be associated with it, but
for sure.
I salute you for that because during a year like that, people could have easily been like, man, you got to get your paper. You got to do what you got to do. But I think standing on them principles, standing 10 toes on those principles is part of the reason why you consistently get that abundance that you have is because you've made it very clear that you have ethics. And I think that's one of the beauties of being independent is that those ethics are often expected to be compromised the higher you move up.
Right.
Because you don't want to lose your position.
Right.
But with us, it's not a vertical climb. It's not a vertical climb all the time with independence because it's not a fall off. It's literally a lateral movement in which it's like, all right, I'm going to go to this thing and then build this up. It's like a garden. You're just building up different parts of the garden. So it's part of the reason I love this, man, is because that's there.
I love it.
That's there.
Yeah. Yeah. The no's are just as important as the yes. And I can't knock anybody who would take certain gigs like that because if you're literally hungry, you're like, I have nothing. Take, if it's within your concept, if it's within your moral, if it makes sense, do it. There's gigs I turn down. I see people do it and it goes viral for whatever reason. I'm like, cool. Because that's the thing. Everybody's moral compass is different. And I don't even be knocking it. I don't be like, do what you got to do. Because sometimes it works for somebody else. It just, you got to know what you will and won't do. And I've done things on gigs and I saw them blow up, and I'm just like, oh, I shouldn't have did that. That actually wasn't a good move. So then I start to figure out what actually is who am I? What do I stand for? But in the beginning, I was trying to say yes to as much as I possibly could, and then I was like, okay, yeah, I won't touch that no more.
I respect that. I
Yeah.
respect that. I respect that.
Yeah.
Touchstone even jumps in here. Shout out to Touchstone. He said, nah, you can't buy my
Touchstone.
dignity. In the grand scheme of
Straight up.
things, we don't really need them. They need us. Like you said, stand up for what
Yeah.
you believe, man, because it will eat you up later if you don't face it.
Oh man.
Especially if you're living in an environment that is surrounded by the fruits of the labor of the dirty work.
Yeah.
That's something
Yeah.
I'm very conscious of that when I'm thinking about, how you treat people on the way up, or is exactly how they're gonna treat you on the way down, because it's inevitable.
Yep.
If you've done people like that, you have likely attracted people who are going to do the same exact thing to you, because that's what you have in common with those folks. So I'm
Exactly.
like, I am quick to say no to these situations. That I believe it's the same. I don't speak for you, but I believe it's the same thing for you. In that, yeah, that money is cool. Yes, I absolutely can do some things with that, but
Sure.
at what cost is something that I think crosses both of our minds.
Yeah. 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 If I'm ashamed to even say that I did this, then yeah, that's not gonna be the one I gotta do. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah, it's just you'll learn it as you go. And like I said, if you don't know what your line is, I mean, you'll find it the more you do. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody's gonna know at first. They just like, bro, I'm just hungry. I said, then get it.
Yeah.
But just know that we're in a content world and it will last forever. So are you cool with seeing this 10 years from now? If your answer is yes, then give it a shot. You know what I'm saying? But I kind of already know. I was already past my 20s. I kind of knew like what I want existed. And also, being the age I am, we existed when Facebook was starting. So we didn't all said some outlandish stuff on Twitter, and we look back like, why did I say that? So we got the opportunity to see like, okay, things can backfire, and so I kind of had that. But if you're young, I have a lot of empathy for those that are young, because it's like maybe y'all don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, So yeah. I'm not judging the youth. Like I'm grateful y'all are awesome, and just keep growing and learning, and I'm not gonna judge y'all, man. We all got to go through it.
Man. So, like I said, we genuinely appreciate not only your time, but the gems that you've given have been just abundant all throughout this. The inspiring nature of how you've done it and why you do it, I think is something that a lot of people have resonated with and will on the rewatch. We appreciate you rewatching, re-listening to this on all the podcasting platforms. I want to end on this note. So, I first of all, where can people find all the things that you do? Where should they be going first to really figure out how to get involved in the experience that you provide?
So Fiverr, I'm still on there today. My you can type in fiverr.com/BurtonM6. That's my actual Fiverr name, but also you'll see on there is Keybeaux. I can put my artist name on there too. That's where I get down and get busy, and that's where I make it happen. And then my everything else from Instagram, Keybeaux, and YouTube. Those are the places where I'll be just doing my art, doing my thing, and I'll even get busy and talk more about the journey of Fiverr. Just a lot of other things. I'm going to be going harder on YouTube to kind of share that, because I'm excited to share it. Sometimes I don't even know what's worth sharing. When people were picking my brain about Fiverr, I was like, oh yeah, that is dope, huh? Like you kind of just don't know, because it's every day. You do it every day. So, and I want everybody to know, bro. Anybody, bro. Put your mind to something, stick to it, see it through, and be grateful. I remember when I sold my first song, my first beat before Fiverr, I was like, cheese, and it was a song and a beat. I think they paid me $350. I was like, I got paid for something I made. Like you never take that for granted.
Yeah,
that's why the first $100 or dollars in the restaurants you see, they put that in glass.
Because
there's a reason for that.
So much pride.
There's so much pride. Like if you've ever been paid for something that you made and you just like, I need more. Yes. Remember that, because that gratitude will carry you, and you'll always be grateful for everything. But when the moment you get comfortable, you feel entitled, and then you're already losing. Because I don't expect nothing, and I'm grateful for everything, bro.
Man, that's something that I was not prepared for. Just being transparent. I've talked to my audience about that. Is that they always prepare you for the possibility that you fail at what you're doing. There's always conversations about what happened to somebody when they, had their failure moment, but nobody ever talks about how to mentally digest and understand what happens when you actually succeed and you have nothing else lined up.
Right.
When you actually do the thing and you're living in the moment and you see the fruits of your labor and you have it, what's going to push you to the next level? And why does the next level, why is it even like that appealing? Because you're comfortable.
Right.
To me, that's the most dangerous place folks get to. As much of a blessing as it is, it's dangerous because that comfortability is something that nobody can teach you about unless they've succeeded at it.
Right.
And when you're the first of something that you're doing like this, in a lot of ways, you're always leaned upon as the trailblazer. You're leaned upon as the pioneer. So it's like, who do you go to for advice? Specifically, you know what I mean? For this, I'm sure you got folks that you can you trust in with, obviously, with family and just elders and whatnot. But in this, we're living in the moment.
Yeah, it's true. Heavy. Yeah, I realized that. I literally was I was literally looking online, like who else has had success with Fiverr, when I was doing it, and I didn't get anybody talking about it being transparent because it was that period where nobody really just. And so I'm like, there's no blueprint. So then after a while, they hit me up in Fiverr like, hey, we want to do an article on you. I'm like, so I'm the blueprint for this? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'd say so.
I'm looking around.
If the company hitting you up, I say that they did their homework.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, hey, you've had a lot of success. I said, me? So I'm looking for somebody who's done this so I can check with them. It's me. Yeah. So I was like, that's tight. So yeah, man, I'm super grateful.
Man, you got a lot of love in here right now. So shout out to Saint Devil. He said, you get some amazing guests on. He said, I'm late tuning in today, but this is a great chat. And Keybeaux has serious wisdom. Vex E says, what I love about this meetup is that Keybeaux is making this very real. We can all at least try. That we all have something to give that people do and still want. And I got to stress it again. Like, obviously, what you have done is notable because of how amazing and outstanding it is, and in a lot of ways how rare some of these things are. But the fact that you have trailblazed that, the fact that you've shown that there's a way for that, I think has a lot of people here thinking about an option that maybe that someone even came in here and asked. I said, what is a Fiverr rapper? And I would suggest to go back, I think Scheme TV, I would suggest to go back to the beginning of this where we kind of cover that, but you may very well open up an opportunity, not for a competitor, quote unquote, which I don't believe in to begin with, but for someone who's like, I never even thought about using my vocals as a singer in this way, or my mixing in this way, and I can do this thing so easily and fast, like or my digital art, whatever the case may be. You never know until someone like you delivers a story. And I feel like there's a lot of folks in here that and it's funny, Unique from 99 Doors, this is pushing me to keep going on Fiverr. Avedon, this was a great conversation. Thank you for the wisdom you both dropped. You're inspiring a lot of people out here, man. I mean, like I said, there may have been a time where you were tapping into my content, and I salute that and I appreciate it. But in this realm, I don't know anything about this world, bro. And seeing you talk so openly about it here with Brandman Sean, obviously with CNBC, and then all the other platforms that I've seen you pop up on, you're inspiring a lot of real human beings who might have thought about the industry being their only means of success, now looking at this and saying, damn, I might be able to really do this and provide for myself within the next 6 months.
Yes.
Not 20 years.
It's a very doable process. Not 20 years, I know. Yeah. Like I'm grateful for all y'all, man. One more thing I want to add to what you just said. If you, in 10 years ago, if you was like, man, I want Snoop Dogg to wish me happy birthday, and he said, you gonna pay $1 million? I said, nah. Right. Now, go on Cameo.
That's it.
And I was like, I thought what I was doing was corny, making special songs. They doing it.
Yeah.
So whatever's corny now probably ain't gonna be corny in a couple of years. Like, so sit in your weird, corny, unique pocket that nobody's paying attention to and just do it. I still think Fiverr, the thing is, y'all got to understand, if y'all rap and y'all interested in this, I've seen so many rappers come and go, and they see me on there and they're like, hey, what I got to do? Hey man, grind it out, do this. And they hit me up a day later. I ain't got no orders. I say, it took me 6 months. And then they disappear. It's like a new wave.
You didn't want to do this. Yeah.
You didn't want to do this. So if you're really serious, bro, like, holla at me in 6 months. And if you even got a couple of orders, like, that's dope.
Yeah.
So if you hit me up, message me, and you made it, and bro, I never shy away from it. I don't leave nobody on red.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely want to see people win, because it's a beautiful thing that you can make money. I can't stress it enough. That's how you know I'm not lying, because it makes me joyful to know that people can provide, because we all trying to figure it out.
That's right.
I was a mess trying to figure this out. So if you make any money off of what you was already doing, bro,
I mean,
rumble, black man, rumble.
Rumble, man. Yeah, rumble, black man, rumble. Like the fact that, and I didn't know those details until you shared them today, and I really appreciate your transparency. I think is the most inspiring thing in all of this, is that you propose to your lady, it's getting ready to be Christmas, and the job lets you go, and it's almost like you stuck between a rock and a hard place. And you know, I always talk about my wife and I, baby on the way. We in a 700 square foot apartment, and I'm like,
right.
I'm telling her to believe in the power of visualization, believe in the power of closing our eyes and act like we're talking to each other from upstairs, and like, hey baby, did I leave my charger downstairs? Yes, and we're literally 5 feet away from each other. Right. These things do something, and obviously, faith is more important than all of that, right?
Sure.
And a belief system. At least I believe, and a lot of us believe, but. Having that undeniable faith, bro, I'll tell you, it makes all these things seem that much more real. But somebody has to see the vision, and not only see the vision, but act on it. I always had this saying that when you're given a vision, you're given a gift, but you're simultaneously burdened with the responsibility of seeing it through. Mm-hmm. Which is why when you share it with people, they say it's dumb, or they can't really see the science in it. But it's not for them. It's not their vision. So we salute you for taking it head on and doing as you're doing, and man, we look forward to seeing your presence here on YouTube too, man. It's bro, you never know. You may be teaching me how to get my voiceover business going off on Fiverr, because it's something I was getting ready to launch. I designed the whole business page, and then I was just like, I'm not done with YouTube yet. I gotta get one more run. Yeah, and then I'm gonna get back to it. But yeah, man.
If I see you on there, I'm hiring you, because I told you I do animation for fun. So
easy.
I'm just gonna hire you. You ain't even gonna know. I'm gonna be like, hey, I hired you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say I'm about to hire you. I'm just gonna hire you.
He's gonna do it.
Yeah,
That's love. That's love.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you, man. Any final words? Any advice for these DIYers that are in here that are trying to make it, trying to make something make something make sense, especially in a world right now that is a little bit. It's a little bit nerve-wracking for a lot of folks.
Yeah, man. I mean, I see y'all. I was y'all. I am y'all. Nothing's changed. I just that fight to figure it out. Don't ever let it leave. And also, the one thing I stress, all y'all do, I say this all the time on my Instagram. Take your phone out. Take your laptop thing out. Record yourself, and don't share this video, but record yourself and talk freely. Talk about what you want in your future, your near future. Talk about your gripes with your current life. Have it a video journal that anytime you think about it, record it. But make sure that it's not accessible and you put it on a hard drive. Mm-hmm. Do this frequently. Have a folder. I do it. I have so much footage. I don't even rewatch it. I probably watch it when I'm older. But it's something about talking things out, getting it out your system, and having it recorded that does something to your subconscious. It does something. But if you're talking about your future, talk positively, because always griping about your job, like this job sucks, you feeding your subconscious. Mm-hmm. It's a negative. It's all that affirmation stuff is not nonsense. It's true. You brainwash yourself. So if what you want is that important, talk it out, record it, and then make the action. All right, I'm gonna send one beat off to this person. I'm gonna add one, make a deadline every day. Make actionable things, and make those videos, man. I mean, it worked for me, and I still do it to this day. And
love that.
I don't know the science behind it, but it really helps me. It's like, because everybody wants to be heard, and sometimes what you actually want to say, maybe your lady can't relate, maybe your mom, dad can't relate. Only you know exactly what you want to say, so record it.
I can give you a theory.
Go ahead.
What I'm listening to what you're saying right now, what that sounds like is, it's journaling.
Yeah.
but it's journaling in a more powerful way for folks who are auditory based or auditory sensitive, right? So we respond to the things that we hear. You say words in a certain pattern and you hear something completely different than somebody who's like, oh, that's pretty catchy. You hear and you hear a chorus. You may hear something that helps connect two different lines, one word, the way you pronounce it or how you don't pronounce it, that make it. We just hear things differently. And I think when you're saying these things out loud, not only are you doing the affirmations, not only are you journaling, which helps to work you through your thoughts, but you're saying it in the voice that is the most influential voice on earth to you. The one that you got to hear every single day. So now when you play these back, like it's, you know that's your voice. You may even cringe a little bit for some people when you hear that, but it's your voice saying that, which means you have to make sense out of that. Your subconscious has to make sense out of it. I remember there was a guy on TikTok who every day, I think for a year, he looked in the camera and he said, I love you. Biggest smile on his face. And he said, I love you to himself every single day. And you literally see the video as it transitions over time. Not that he's not going through things, but you can tell that that's one thing that he has set a bar on that he will never drop below. That no matter how bad things get, how crazy they get, I love you is what he's telling himself. I think those kind of things and hearing your voice say that over and over again, your subconscious is here to protect you from pain. That's one of its skill sets. So it's going to do everything in its power. If you say that I want to become whatever, a millionaire, I'm just giving an example, your brain's going to say, but that's contradictory to what we have right now. What do we need to change? So as you're going to sleep, that's why when you listen to like audiobooks, you listen to like these powerful like, audios when you go to sleep, that's reinforcing it in your subconscious that says when you wake up, there are going to be things that you're going to naturally say, I don't want to do that. That doesn't make sense. Not even knowing you're building it towards the thing that you already established as your goal. So I think what you're doing is, man, that's such a brilliant way to go about it. And I think a lot of people can benefit from that who don't necessarily like journaling or typing, but you're saying it in a voice that you listen to every day. And whether or not you believe in affirmations or not, you know what's crazy? We all do it, but we tend to do it when we're talking down to ourselves. Those are still affirmations.
That's a bar.
It's still affirmations. Man. Like
it's true.
It may not necessarily be a positive affirmation, right? But when you say like, this beat sucks, I suck at making beats, that's an affirmation. You're affirming something, and you're now following through. I don't want to go on a tangent, but I love that you brought that up. Just the last thing I'll say is that even folks who say they don't believe in hypnosis, we hypnotize ourselves every single day.
Yeah. When
we say things over and over again until we believe them, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm not the kind of person that's good at this type of thing. I never do things like that. I never did. I don't think I'm the right person. Da da da. You're hypnotizing. This is a hypnosis.
Yep.
So I think that, man, that right there is a video. We need that video from you. We need that video from you because you're going to get the question. Mark these words. April 27th, 6:40 p.m. Pacific time. Pacific time. Somebody gonna leave a question on one of your videos that say, man, I understand all this stuff with Fiverr and I salute you, but how do you keep going?
Yeah.
And it's gonna come back to this. And I think there's so many people that can benefit from hearing about this process. That's super dope, man.
Yeah. I actually, to conclude, I have to go back in my archive and look at some of my videos because I don't do it. But video journal, bro. Do it.
Yeah. All right, man. Hey, look. You came through and you did not disappoint. I didn't feel like you came and knocked it out like you did these verses. And like I know you said when you first went on Fiverr and you was like, oh, they barbecue chicken in here. I'm glad I got confirmation. That made my day right there. Just hearing that. I was like, I know. I
cracked up. When I saw it, I paused the video when you said that. I was like, I told my wife, yup, he was right. I thought that, but I gotta keep it G. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta keep professional. You still want to get some clients, but man, we salute everything that you're doing. Thank you so much for being on here. It will not be the last time. I'm sure there'll be opportunities for a lot of stuff. And man, whatever you need, whatever you got, you promoting something or whatever the case may be, we are here. And I'll make sure that folks get to those social medias. Any last words for the good people here?
Hey, y'all. Life is beautiful. Life is good. Keep doing y'all thing. Wish I had something better to say, but hey, Do your thing, baby. Curtis King,
Come
baby.
on
We
now.
here, baby.
Come on now. We're grateful to have you here. Ladies and gentlemen,
For sure.
thank y'all so much for not only chiming into the conversation, but even if you're just listening, whether you're at work or commuting, greatly appreciate you being here and just that synergy that we know that's in here.
Sure.
DIY is he's showing you what is available out here. It ain't this is such a large world full of so many different variables. Do not allow people who won't even try to dictate for you what is possible. We salute you and we thank you so much for your time today, brother.
For sure, brother.
All right, y'all take it easy.